But she doesn't love me, Harry Potter said immediately, she doesn't love me at all. But she raised you anyway, said Dumbledore, although she may have been reluctant, and even resentful, but he still allowed you to survive, and it was a blessing in disguise. Harry, you have to admit that your mother's sacrifice made your blood your strongest backing. But that's not me. Lin Sha interrupted impatiently, Harry, no matter what, there is a fact that you must admit. That is, up to now, you can still go back to that house. Although you don't want to call it that, but I have to admit that Voldemort can't hurt you anytime you go back there. 280 Voldemort killed your mother, but also made you her sister's only blood relative, your blood is your refuge. You can go back once a year, although you don't want to admit it, but that's your home. A Buddha's top palace can never hurt your home. Dumbledore nodded, yes, and your aunt knows all this. When I put you at her door, I left her a letter explaining everything here in detail. So I know, and in these 10 years, I have given you a place to live. Does she know? Harry Potter couldn't believe it. Then why? And I've reminded her more than once of the truth about raising you and the dangers of raising you like a son, but she never mentioned letting you go, 35 Dumbledore said. Wait a minute, but what does all this have to do with Voldemort? Harry stood up, not sure why he started talking at that point. Dumbledore glanced at him and continued, 5 years ago, you came to Hogwarts, not as happy or as gentleman as I thought, but I'm glad that at least you came here safely and intact, this 10 in the past few years, you have been alive and healthy. And you did not grow up like the stars and the moon, and you have your own self-restraint. I am very happy that you have grown up like this. You are what I hoped to be, an ordinary child growing up in a peaceful environment, and when you came here, I was sure that all my plans were not bad. What happened after that, Lin Sha also became clear. After that, I still remember clearly what happened in the first year after you came to school. You soon faced your own challenges, faster than I thought. And you were faster than I thought. Discover your potential and face Voldemort's potential alone. Although that time you survived, and delayed his return and gained magical powers, you fought exactly like a warrior, that time, you know. How proud I am. But I made a mistake at the time, and it's a mistake I've been making in the past few years, that is, because of your age, I underestimate your ability. However, if it wasn't for Lin Sha, he reminded me that you have your mission, I have no right to make any decisions for you without your knowledge, and maybe even now, I will not decide to tell you these things. Harry remembered how he had asked Dumbledore, when he was a baby, in the hospital, in his first year, why Voldemort would murder him. Dumbledore said nothing at the time. Harry looked Dumbledore in the eyes, you mean, you thought I was too young to know the truth? I'm sorry, Harry, that I treated you with this mentality. I should have realized at the time that as long as you're still looking for the truth, you're going to be asking me these questions, and I'll have to give you these horrible answers one day. But I'm always at a loss as to when to tell you. 35. Dumbledore sighed softly, maybe it was also because I was too conceited at the time, and I was happy every time you asked me, before it was time to tell you. This kind of makes me feel that everything is still in my plan. 35. Lin Sha looked at Harry, Dumbledore said, in your second year at Hogwarts, you had discussed the scar on your forehead in depth, but at the time, he still didn't tell you. Yes, it was my fault. Harry Potter, I fell into my own trap first. Dumbledore, always apologetic. It was he who underestimated Harry's ability to accept. After talking with Lin Sha, he thought more than once that if he had told Harry all the truth earlier, would everything be much better than now. Harry Potter was always expressionless. Lin Sha looked at the guilty Dumbledore, and couldn't help but said, it's not your fault, Dumbledore. It's not really a mistake at all. 95. He looked at Harry coldly, for Dumbledore, he would rather you be like the rest of the school and simply enjoy being at Hogwarts than being unhappy after letting you know the truth. Of all his plans, what he values most is your peaceful life. He values your peace of mind, even more so than how many deaths it will cause if the plan fails. Harry Potter, this is not a mistake, you have no qualifications, and there is no position to blame him. Lin Sha, don't do this. Dumbledore stopped him, it was indeed my fault, because Voldemort prejudged my prejudgment, and I was dealing with the problem as he hoped. I'm sorry, but that's what I did. I'm looking at you so closely, watching you, and I hope you're happy at Hogwarts. Don't have to go through the pain you've been through. I even think in the future, how many ordinary people will be killed because my plan fails. I'm even at a loss as to what if my plan doesn't keep you alive, or doesn't keep you alive and happy. Harry, I have to admit, I've never treated anyone like this. Dumbledore looked at Harry lovingly, like a rare treasure. I can tell you many times, that year you killed one. 3 Death Eaters, found Sirius, knew who he was, and rescued him. I had a chance to tell you at that time, but I didn't. It was just that when my heart started to panic, I felt that, maybe soon, I had to tell you all this. I knew last year that Voldemort had returned, said 35 Dumbledore, but at the time, I still didn't tell you. Dumbledore walked to Lin Shao's side, thank you for keeping me from making any mistakes. Today I finally say all this. Lin Sha, I know your abilities, although I don't know where you know it, but I know you have known all my secrets long ago. Now, can I have a request for you? Lin Sha looked at Dumbledore and asked, what request? It takes Harry to completely defeat Voldemort. So I want to put him in your hands, Dumbledore said, after a pause, not just him, but every student out of this school, every one, including me, I want you to carry this burden. I want you to be the greatest of all. Do I have a chance to say no? Lin Sha tilted his head and looked at him. Hey, I don't need anyone's protection, and you obviously have something to say to me, what else is there that I don't know? Lin Sha walked up to Harry and said in place of Dumbledore, have you not thought about it? The reason Voldemort wanted to murder you since you were a child is because of a prophecy before you were born. But obviously, he didn't know the prophecy. Details, but he knew there would be such a fable, and he believed that one day the prophecy would come true, so he was going to kill you as a baby. But then failed too many times, so he found out that he was wrong. Lin Sha paused and said, the tragic failure made him realize that if he wants to break the prophecy, he must know the whole content of the prophecy. That's why after he recovers, the first thing he does is look for the prophecy ball, because it contains clues about how he can kill you. 35. But the prophecy ball broke. Harry looked at Lin Sha dissatisfiedly, you broke it on purpose yesterday, didn't you? It doesn't matter, Dumbledore interjected, the sphere of prophecy only holds records of prophecies that have been handed down from the Ministry of Magic, the Secret Service, but it is true that prophecies were made by great fortune-tellers, the people who heard the prophecies and the prophecies. The fortune-teller can perfectly say all the content of the prophecy. So, who is the soothsayer? Who heard the prophecy again? Harry asked, although he had already guessed the answer. It's me, said Dumbledore. One cold night 17 years ago, I went to meet the descendant of a very famous and very talented prophet, whom I had intended to invite to become Hogwarts professor, but she rejected me. When I was leaving, she suddenly opened her eyes and her body was hanging slowly, as if she was suddenly in a state of prophecy. In this environment, she made the most a major prophecy. What is this prophecy? Harry asked impatiently. She said, the man who can defeat the Dark Lord is coming. He will be born in a family that has fought the Dark Lord 3 times, he will be born at the end of the 7th month. The Dark Lord will look upon him as the greatest enemy, he is about to have the Dark Lord, and he has no ability. But one of them must die at the hands of the other, while one of them survives, the other will not survive. The power to destroy the Dark Lord is about to be born. The room became very quiet, Dumbledore, Harry Potter, Sirius, Lin Sha, did not make any sound. Professor Dumbledore? Harry Potter said calmly. Do you think this is all about me? The man who defeated the Dark Lord was born at the end of July of that year, and his family had resisted the Dark Lord 3 times, Dumbledore said. Actually, it may not be you at all. Because there were 2 children who fit this prophecy, one is you and the other is Neville. Neville Longbottom. He was also born in July, and his parents escaped Voldemort 3 times. Then why is it me and not Neville's name on the prophecy ball? Because Voldemort attacked you at the time, it was you who was registered with the Ministry of Magic's Mystery Office, said Dumbledore. From what Voldemort did, he only went to kill you because he thought you were the child of the prophecy. Harry Potter felt a little absurd. So, isn't it okay to say, maybe not me? Harry, what are you expecting? Lin Sha looked at him, I can tell you for sure, it's you. The child of the prophecy at the beginning is you. But as you said just now, Neville was also born in July, and his parents were. You are wrong, Harry. Lin Sha said, you forgot the second paragraph of the prophecy, the child who killed Voldemort had a sign. Voldemort would mark him as his enemy, and he did. Harry, Voldemort chose you to be his enemy, not Neville. He gave you that scar of blessing and curse, Dumbledore said. But do you guys think maybe he marked it wrong? Or is this just his trick? But actually, it's not unreasonable for Voldemort to choose you, is it? Lin Sha looked at Harry and said, don't forget, you are of mixed blood just like him. He didn't choose Neville, because Neville's parents were wizards, he chose you, and he left a scar on you. I guess, after she failed to kill you as she wished, don't give you strength, give you a future. The power to get you out of him not 3 times, but 4 times, something neither your parents nor Neville's parents ever did. Then why did he do this? Why did he have to decide at that time? Harry was puzzled. He could have waited until we were a little older, and then it's me or Neville, who is more threatening. And then decide who to kill. That's why I say Voldemort knew of such a prophecy, but it wasn't worth the full content of the prophecy, Dumbledore said. At the time, he should have only heard the first half of the prophecy. He knew that a child would be born in July, and that his family had resisted him 3 times. Well, he didn't hear. He didn't know that if he attacked that child, he would transfer his power to that child and automatically mark that child as his enemy. So I guess Voldemort didn't know that attacking you would make him have it too. Risk. Otherwise, according to his character, it should be like what you said, wait a little longer, and then decide on his own enemy after learning more. But I didn't. Harry collapsed a little. I don't have any power from him, I just feel controlled and tethered. No, Harry, you have acquired this power and have begun to use it, said Dumbledore. Harry, I think you've got the point wrong. Like on that prophecy ball, Voldemort can get the clue to kill you. Haven't you found the clue to kill him in the prophecy ball? Lin Sha, I don't want to continue to dwell on these irrelevant issues. They had wasted too much time on Harry. The end of the prophecy said. If I remember correctly, he said, there will be one of us, and only one of us will survive. Is that so? Harry tried hard to recall the entire prophecy, and only thought of this sentence. Yes, there is only one person between you and Voldemort who can survive. Either you kill him or he kills you. That's your destiny. Dumbledore said, Harry, don't you think you're destined? Harry didn't want to answer the question, and they didn't say a word. Dumbledore looked at Harry in disappointment. Lin Sha had completely lost his patience. However, I can tell you, it's okay if you don't want to take on the hard work. Lin Sha looked out the window. The morning's class was over, and the students began to return to the room one after another. Quietly, Harry looked up like a pixel, looking at Lin Shao's back. I said that I came here with my own mission. The first step in my mission is to make Voldemort disappear forever. Lin Sha turned his head, so, no matter what you choose, I will kill Voldemort. And, I can be sure, I don't need your help. I believe you have this ability, Dumbledore said. In the history of Hogwarts, you are the only person who can change the prophecy. I completely believe in you, Lin Sha. But you also believe in me. On your way to achieve your mission, you will definitely need a companion or a group of companions with you. 35. Dumbledore looked at Harry, and it was obvious that Harry was the companion he said Lin Sha needed. Harry, I think I have one more thing to apologize to you, Dumbledore said. I apologize for the fact that I felt you were unreliable. Please forgive me for not seeing you objectively. With that, Dumbledore stooped and left the room. Before leaving, Lin Sha said to Harry, you shouldn't blame him, and you shouldn't make him sad. He has done everything he can. Of course, no one blames you, and you have done your best. All of this can only be said to be created by people. 5. Only Sirius and Harry were left in the room. Sirius was rarely serious. He stepped forward and patted Harry on the shoulder. Harry, I can feel the danger I encountered yesterday. If it wasn't for Lin Sha, I would probably have been in danger today. Can't go back here. 35. I'm so glad I'm still standing here talking to you, and I'm still able to go on and fight with you. It's been my greatest honor. Harry, trust me, nothing else matters. We're still together. Which is the most important? 99. Harry broke down in tears. You don't understand, Sirius. As long as I think I'm about to lose you because of my stupidity, or lose the people who risked because of me, I'm just. I understand, but Harry, you have to understand, it's all over. It'll be all right. Harry was like a helpless child, venting all his emotions to his heart's content. Lin Sha came out of Harry's room and caught up with Dumbledore. Headmaster, Cornelius Fudge, have you decided what else to do? Lin Sha didn't forget that Cornelius Fudge was treated like that by Dumbledore yesterday, and nothing has been written yet. I will explain to him, Lin Sha, although he is not a qualified minister of magic, but one thing I am sure, he will not let Voldemort and his Death Eaters loose. The magic wand in his hand will be firm. Aimed at them, Dumbledore said. Dumbledore looked at the children who returned to the dormitory. Their faces were full of relaxed and happy smiles, or they were annoyed by their schoolwork. Everything was so fresh. Lin Sha, remember what I said. I hope you can bear it, this responsibility, one that is greater and harder than I am than everyone else. You will do, won't you? 9. Lin Sha nodded. I will try my best. Okay, now I can go back to my office with confidence. I believe that some people have been impatient to wait. Dumbledore walked forward firmly. Lin Sha looked at him, feeling like he made up some kind of determination generally. 4 hours later, Conley appeared at the Ministry of Magic, in the image of the Ministry's report to the entire wizarding world. Hi everyone, this is Cornelius Fudge, Minister for Magic. Now I have something very important to announce to the entire wizarding world. There is a man of mystery who calls himself the greatest wizard, you know who I am talking about, he alive, and has returned to our midst. 5. Cornelius Fudge had a weary face that no one in the wizarding world had ever seen, single quote. Meanwhile I have even worse news to tell you all. Azkaban has had a massive escape, they've infiltrated all corners of the wizarding world, and I have reason to believe that these Dementors already surrender to that mysterious lord. The Ministry of Magic's statement caused panic in the entire magical world. They never thought that the danger would be so close to them that they could not react at all. Cornelius Fudge continued, I hope that all wizards will be on high alert, I believe we will eventually defeat evil, and this time, we will be able to make him disappear completely. After speaking, Cornelius Fudge's figure disappeared, and the entire magical world was panicked and turbulent. There are all kinds of voices, and many rumors, so that the originally peaceful magical world has become a fiery melting pot, with money. The wizarding crowd did not know why the Ministry of Magic made such a solemn statement. A rumor spread that last night, Voldemort entered the Ministry of Magic with his faithful, and he left the Ministry of Magic safe and sound. Such rumors made the already turbulent wizarding world seriously distrust the Ministry of Magic. Under such circumstances, Umbridge's resignation from Hogwarts and Dumbledore's reinstatement as headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry became less important. At this time, Dumbledore was sitting in his office, not saying a word. Because, in the magic school, many people's attention is on Harry, the destined son who can defeat the Dark Lord in this fable, and Lin Sha, who in the latest prophecy has changed the original prophecy, and can achieve unprecedented on the body of the Son of Change of Achievement. Wherever Lin Sha goes recently, he is always being watched. There were many others who simply walked up to him and asked, Lin Sha, do you already know about the Dark Lord's return? Have you figured out how to deal with him? Lin Sha ignored this question countless times. Luna looked angrily at the person who came to question, is it just her business to defeat the Dark Lord? How about you? What can you do? Please, I'm not the one who changed my life in the prophecy has nothing to do with me, what can I do? The man spread his hands, shrugged and said, it's Lin Sha in the prophecy. Shouldn't they be fighting hard to deal with the Dark Lord now? You. Not only in the school, the Ministry of Magic even mentioned Harry and Lin Sha directly in the Daily Prophet, and in the front page report of the Daily Prophet 280, Harry was the destined son who escaped from the Dark Lord, and Lin Sha is suitable for the Dark Lord to fight, and the son of life-changing without damage. It was stated directly in the report that the two would take all the wizards and defeat the Dark Lord. Ronald, Luna, Neville, Hermione, after reading this report, they were so angry that they even wanted to fight. Harry, Lin Sha, they really got you all involved. Hermione said, from now on, there will be more eyes, who will be watching you all the time. 35. Ronald shredded the newspaper angrily, have you now acknowledged their importance? Are they the sons of fate now? Are they the sons of fate? Do you want to find a scapegoat to put them in this position at this time? Lin Sha heard a funny retort, Ronald, it's not so serious, take it easy. Lin Sha grabbed a handful of snacks from the cupboard and threw them at Ronald, as well as some for Harry and the others, at least, nothing is happening right now, is it? But, they're raving about you two now, Hermione said. Everything you two ever did will be magnified and put on the front page of this paper. This, is not a good thing. Things. It doesn't matter, Lin Sha glanced at the shredded newspaper, look, at least they have admitted that there have been ridicule and slander. Hermione, you have to believe, this is quite rare for them. Hermione gave Lin Sha a swipe, and now she has not let go completely, Lin Sha abandoned them and went to the Ministry of Magic's mysterious office alone. Luna flipped through the newspaper, alas, that's what public opinion is. You see, now all the sections in the newspaper are talking about the Dark Lord. The last time you know who was wiped out, 2 pages were written, why is there no one in the Ministry of Magic? Listening to Dumbledore's report and writing another 2 pages, and Lin Zhao's report taking up a whole page, Harry's report, apart from this matter, now they have nothing else to write about. How is the school now? Lin Sha asked, he hadn't seen him since the last time he talked to Dumbledore. We haven't had any trouble since Dumbledore came back. Good news for Neville, everything is back to normal at the school. 99. What about Professor Trelawney? He's back at school, although I still feel like I haven't learned anything in his class. Ronald lay back and said, well, prophecy class is really the most boring class, if you have to ask me what is not rubbish in language class, I can only say that Fezzelin is not bad. 99. Don't say that, Hermione looked at him disapprovingly. At least Professor Trelawney, she made a real prediction, and I think we should respect him. Lin Sha glanced at Harry, Harry's heartbeat suddenly increased at this time, they had not told Ronald Hermione, nor Luna, about the true meaning of the prophecy until now. Lin Sha, why did you say you broke it at that time? You clearly did it on purpose. If it doesn't break, we can also hear the true content of the prophecy. Neville looked at Lin Sha in confusion. Although we don't know, at least the Dark Lord will never know what's inside. Hermione didn't want to listen to Neville questioning Lin Sha for some reason, especially after he came back from there alone. Where are you going? Harry. Neville didn't have time to retort Hermione when he saw Harry stand up nervously in surprise, and turn to leave. I went to Hagrid, and I promised I would go to him. Harry was just trying to find an excuse to get out of this environment, he didn't want to continue listening to this topic. Lin Sha looked at Harry's leaving figure and shook his head. Fortunately, he never expected Harry to be firmer. Luna saw Lin Shao's action, but didn't say anything. She knew that Lin Sha could handle it well, and she had always believed in him, just like she believed that Lin Sha would definitely come back from the mysterious office. Lin Sha stayed with them for a while and then left. Luna also followed him away. Luna didn't say anything, just walked quietly with Lin Sha. There is no one on campus today, and they enjoy such tranquility on the road covered with sunshine. They walked through the empty corridor and looked out the window together. There were 2s and 3s of students on the court, and some people were swimming together in the lake. This is the vigor that has not been enjoyed for a long time. Luna looked at all this and said softly, it's good, it's finally back to normal. She looked at Lin Sha, it's all because of you. Lin Sha touched her head, I promised you that everything will be back to normal soon. Look, we can be together again now, no need to avoid anything. But, Lin Sha, the Dark Lord, he's different from the others, I'm worried. Luna said worriedly. There were so many people just now, she didn't want to mention it, but now facing Lin Sha, although she believed in Lin Sha, the Dark Lord was not a level she could reach. Don't worry, Luna, trust me. Just like before, trust me, I will be able to handle everything. Lin Sha looked at her and smiled, at least you have to trust me, I can protect you. Luna blushed slightly, then nodded slightly. Lin Sha looked at this cute little girl and couldn't help but sigh, still so innocent. Harry walked alone, and the youthful campus was full of companions. Harry thought of Ronald, Hermione, Neville, and the rest of Dumbledore's army. He felt that he was missing something. Just like just now, he was very reluctant to be with them, he wanted to be alone, But when he really wanted someone, he wanted to be with them. He felt that all this time, he seemed to have lost the original Harry Potter. Harry walked in the direction of Hagrid's room, which might give him a place to stay for a while. When he turned a corner, Malfoy and his 2 entourages, Goyle and Crabbe, just came up from the opposite side, and when they saw Harry, they looked badly. Harry stopped, and Malfoy and the others stopped too. Malfoy looked around cautiously, and after confirming that there were no other teachers and classmates here, he instantly became arrogant. How dare you do that to my father, Harry, I won't make it easier for you. Harry looked at him with interest, it's interesting, how did I treat your father? Are you sure, your father is like this now, because of me? Malfoy's expression instantly distorted because of Harry's words. Because of Lucius Malfoy, Malfoy's days at school have not been easy lately, and Harry looked at his pale face and felt happy. His pain, it is time for someone to bear with him. You wait, I will definitely make you pay the price. Malfoy said grimly, I swear, I will never let you go like this. Oh, then I'm terrified. Harry looked at him and said, but, guess what, your father is in jail by now, how are you going to make me pay? Or, what do you think, you, and the 2 behind you, can make me pay the price? You bastard. Malfoy quickly pulled out his magic wand, how dare you look down on me? Harry also pulled out his magic wand, looking at the magic wand in his hand, he suddenly realized that he needed to vent, and he needed a serious fight to vent all his emotions. I hope that you are not too weak to make me feel pointless. Harry said calmly. Lame, accept your weapon. Malfoy uttered the spell first, but Harry left early as expected, dodged ahead of time, and uttered the spell. Hulsacid, drowsy. Malfoy dodged, Harry's spell hit Gol and instantly fell to the ground. Harry felt a rush of resentment, coming from Malfoy, far more than he hated him. Harry felt a tumult in his heart, and he felt the urge to use the Cruciatus on Malfoy. Harry Potter, what are you doing? Lin Sha walked out from the corner, and from the beginning, he was standing there. Just been waiting, Harry's mood has not stabilized, Harry needs to vent. And he knew that Malfoy would join the Death Eaters sooner or later, and would be their enemy sooner or later, and it was okay for Harry to do it at this time. It's just that he didn't expect that Harry would actually have murderous intent towards Malfoy, a real and strong murderous intent. Harry, what do you want to do? Lin Sha stared into his eyes tightly. I was thinking, what spell was used on Malfoy? 35 Harry looked at Lin Sha. Lin Sha, are you here to stop me? 39. Lin Sha walked in front of him with deep eyes, holding the tip of his magic wand in his hand. Harry, what spell do you want to use? What spell did you want to use on your classmate just now? 35. Do you dare to admit it? Harry. Lin Sha said sharply. Harry was silent. Lin Sha, and you. If it weren't for you, my father wouldn't have been caught by the Ministry of Magic, and he wouldn't be in prison now. I'm going to avenge my father. Behind Lin Sha, Malfoy arrived hysterically. Lame, accept your weapon. Malfoy used a spell on Lin Sha, but, to no avail, Lin Sha never used a magic wand. Lin Sha turned around and looked at Malfoy, Goyle and Crabbe with disdain. I didn't want to do anything to you, do you know why? Why? Goyle asked tremblingly. Because you are too weak, Malfoy. You may not know that even your father, Lucius Malfoy, has no power to fight back in front of me. You think I will put you and these two people in the eye-in? Lin Sha looked at the three in front of him like an ant. Ask for flowers. You. Malfoy has never been humiliated like this before. Just as he was about to wave his magic wand, Lin Sha glanced at him, and his magic wand fell from his hand and fell more than 10 meters away from him. The three of Malfoy looked at Lin Sha in horror. I said, don't force me to do something to you. Lin Sha looked at Malfoy and said lazily, I know you. You should be glad that your father is now in prison and has not been hurt. By the way, I know it's useless to say something to you, but since I met you, I will say something to you. I know that you are now resenting me and Harry because of your father's affairs. Hate Dumbledore, even Hogwarts. I also know that the Death Eaters will find you sooner or later, and you will definitely join the Death Eaters without hesitation. 0. Malfoy interrupted him sharply, you are talking nonsense. I never thought of that. 39. Lin Sha shrugged nonchalantly, perhaps not yet. But, Lin Sha approached Malfoy and said in a two-person voice, I promised Dumbledore that I would protect everyone from this school. In this case, I will absolutely not allow traitors to appear in Hogwarts, so please remember it to me, the day you betrayed the school is when I took your life. Lin Sha looked at Malfoy coldly, he did not expect that Malfoy would not join the Death Eaters because of his words, it was impossible. He just warned Malfoy not to try to do anything against the school while he was at the school. You. Malfoy was seen by Lin Sha and stepped back, looking at Lin Shao's eyes full of horror, he stepped back, you can't, this is Hogwarts, you can't do it to me at school. 99. If you didn't betray. Lin Sha looked at him, then, now, are you going to continue to work here? Crabbe and Goyle were on one side, pulling Malfoy and disappearing in front of them instantly. Lin Sha looked at Harry, it seems that you haven't adjusted yourself well. Harry, this is not a good sign. What are you doing here? Harry, Lin Sha. Snape's voice was as cold as ever, and he strode towards the two of them. Harry, put your magic wand down, Snape said quickly, or I'll deduct 10 points from Gryffindor. Snape looked at the scores at the various colleges and smiled contemptuously at Harry. Oh, sorry, I forgot, the Gryffindor doesn't have many points left to deduct. Well, Harry, I'm sorry, I just have to. Professor Snape, I think you mean, give us some points first. Lin Sha cut in, he could see Snape's obvious malice towards Harry. But he couldn't explain who was right and who was wrong at this time, he only knew that Gryffindor couldn't be deducted any more points. Add some points to 280, ? Snape looked at Lin Sha with wide eyes, his expression seemed to say, are you kidding me? Yes, Professor Snape, I think I should get 50 points for what I did last night. Also, Harry and Ronald, Neville, Luna, Hermione, everyone should get points, because they all warned the world the return of Voldemort, what an important contribution, what do you think? Professor Snape. I think it's okay, Professor McGonagall walked from the stone street step by step, I think Lin Sha is right, each of them should add 50 points, Professor Snape, what do you think? Snape was shocked by McGonagall's sudden appearance and said nothing. Then I'll assume that you think so too, Professor McGonagall said and added the Gryffindor scorer, including Lin Sha, Harry, Hermione, Luna, and several others, adding points to everyone. Lin Sha looked at the scores on the scoreboard and said with a smile, Professor Snape, I think you can deduct 10 points from Harry now. In an instant, another 10 was missing from the score, but the scores below were still quite impressive. Now, Lin Sha, Harry, I wonder if you have something to do, or go out to play. After all, the weather is so nice outside today. Professor McGonagall said brightly. Not wanting to hear her say it a second time, Harry put away the magic wand and walked right past Snape when he heard her say in her usual cold voice. Harry, I hope you won't see you at school again pointing your magic wand at your classmate, especially this classmate, after doing such a dangerous thing for you just yesterday. Harry resented his sermons. Snape, I hope I don't ever point my wand at you. If you're my enemy, I won't show mercy. After speaking, he left without looking at Lin Sha and Snape. You shouldn't be talking to him like that. McGonagall looked at Snape disapprovingly. Harry isn't his father, and you shouldn't be passing that grudge on him. It's not fair to him, Snape. So what's fair? Snape said coldly. Is it fair that the abuser has become a hero to everyone? McGonagall. 95. After Snape was about to turn around and leave, Lin Sha felt that he might need some time to recover his emotions. McGonagall looked at Lin Sha and shrugged, saying there was nothing she could do about this situation. Lin Sha, I think you don't mind chatting with me. McGonagall said. Of course not, Professor McGonagall. McGonagall and Lin Sha were walking down the Hogwarts path, the heat of the sun surrounding them tightly. They were walking on the lawn, and the students on the lawn were enjoying the sunshine and talking to each other. Some were reading the Daily Prophet and some were eating snacks. When they passed by, everyone looked at them, or at Lin Sha. Some stopped him or waved at him, others stepped forward eagerly and greeted him, and as the Daily Prophet mentioned, all regarded him and Harry as heroes. Lin Sha simply greeted him. He knew that these people were innocent, they didn't know what happened in the past 2 days, but he also didn't want to be questioned at this time, and then act like a monkey watching the same. Looks like you've become everyone's hero, Lin Sha. McGonagall teased, how does it feel? Professor McGonagall, I think you are mocking me. Lin Sha said with a smile, turning his eyes to reveal a little seriousness, but I don't want to be a hero, I just want to protect those who want to protect, then do what I want to do, and finally finish my mission, and that's it. 99. In my mission, I need to protect these people and make Voldemort disappear completely, then I will try my best to do 0. Lin Sha, I'm glad you said that to me, but Harry. Professor McGonagall knew that Dumbledore currently values Lin Sha more than Harry. Even she thought that between Lin Sha and Harry, if there was one person who was going to take Hogwarts, or even the entire wizarding world, to defeat Voldemort, then this person was more likely to be Lin Sha than Harry. Because, Harry's current state. I know, he's on the cusp of bullshit right now. He built a wall for himself, and he drove everyone out of the wall. She was the only one left in the factory. Lin Sha understood Harry's current mood. But he didn't want to waste time on Harry anymore, so he frankly said to Professor McGonagall. To be honest, I didn't expect Harry or anyone else to give me much help in defeating Voldemort, especially him. Lin Sha paused and said, if it is possible, or if I think he's going to get in my way, I'll probably knock him out of the game entirely. Professor McGonagall, I think you know what I mean. 35. This was the decision Lin Sha made after watching Harry's state for the past 2 days. And this decision gave him a big sigh of relief. Lin Sha. Professor McGonagall looked at him in disbelief. You are companions, and this is how you defeated Voldemort together, the closest companion, Lin Sha. We should all understand Harry, he is only 1. 3 now. He is just. I don't care what he is now, Lin Sha interrupted Professor McGonagall. Me, and Dumbledore, we have given him a long time, but I don't think his current state is suitable for a face-to-face meeting. As for Voldemort, as long as he appears in front of Voldemort, he will be instantly destroyed into scum. Lin Sha said unceremoniously. In fact, in his heart, he already had such an idea. What about the Son of Destiny? Lin Sha came to this world to change, and perhaps this change included the matter of letting the original Son of Destiny out of the game. Oh, Lin Sha, your idea is crazy. 35 Professor McGonagall still couldn't believe it. She turned around immediately and walked towards Dumbledore's office. I think I need to have a good chat with Dumbledore. Oh, the world is so crazy. Lin Sha watched her leave, but did not catch up. This was the first time he had explicitly proposed the idea of completely covering Harry's light. He believed that most people in this world would not agree with him, even Luna, Hermione, who had the best relationship with him, would not fully approve of his idea. However, he doesn't care. He didn't care what they thought, he just decided to do it and told them. Lin Sha looked at the bustling campus and walked towards the Forbidden Forest. Standing in front of Hagrid's door, he hesitated, but Fanya came running around the corner and greeted him with great enthusiasm, telling him by the way that Hagrid was in the vegetable garden. Lin Sha, it's been a long time. Hagrid saw his eyes light up and shouted happily, come here, 07, just in time we can have a glass of dandelion juice together. Lin Sha walked over the fence and took a sip of the dandelion juice that Hagrid handed over. "How's it going?" asked Hagrid as they sat at the table in the yard, each holding a glass of dandelion juice. "How does it taste?" "Not bad." Lin Sha looked at the concern in Hagrid's eyes and knew that he actually wanted to ask about his state after such a big change. "Not bad, I wasn't affected, it was Harry who was affected." Although Lin Sha really didn't want to mention Harry again, as long as he mentioned his current state, he had to mention it. "How are you?" Lin Sha took a sip, then asked. "It's the same as before, hiding in the mountains," Hagrid said, like when Sirius. "By the way, I heard that you brought Sirius back yesterday, which is amazing." "It's okay, no matter what, I'm finally back," Lin Sha said softly. "Dumbledore should be very pleased with you, this time, thanks to you." "Maybe, Hagrid, you look good too," Lin Sha said looking at him. "Really? That might have been a good time indeed." Hagrid took a few sips and said, "By the way, Grap is fine too. I've seen him 3 times since I came back, and he'll tell you about your business." "Said it to me 3 times. Well, you really don't know, I don't want to see him a 4th time now, simply because I don't want to hear him say it a 4th time. I think if he keeps saying this, I might consider giving he's looking for a company. He's so boring." Lin Sha thought about the scene where Hagrid and Grap met, and couldn't help laughing out loud. "Glop is pure, he's purer than many wizards." Lin Sha looked at Hagrid and said. "Now, everyone treats you as a hero, Lin Sha." Hagrid said suddenly and softly. He approached Lin Sha and looked at him. "Would this make you feel much happier?" Lin Sha shrugged. "Look," said Hagrid, putting his arms on the table and resting his head on his arms, "you brought back Sirius. He always wanted to die in a battle, the way he wanted. I think he should be very glad you can still fight. At least, he sees you as a hero." 5. "You are everyone's hero, you will be under a lot of pressure, Lin Sha." "Possibly, Hagrid, but you know, in the circumstances of yesterday, I couldn't have put Harry, Ronald, Luna, a few students to face Voldemort, they weren't opponents at all." Lin Sha lowered his head and said, "I'm sure I can come back, I'm not reckless, and I'm not trying to be brave. It's not the heroism you think, I'm just me, I just did what I could, Hagrid. I understand that no one will blame you, Lin Sha, on the contrary, everyone will be proud of you. It's just," Hagrid said with some unease, "I hope you can take care of yourself, if you..." "Don't worry, I know." After finishing the glass of dandelion juice, Lin Sha came out of Hagrid's room, and he returned to the lawn where McGonagall was talking. Everyone came up to greet him again, he simply perfunctory again. He walked to a corner where no one was there, and closed his eyes gently. At this time, he really hoped that everyone could disappear, give him a moment time, alone. Just before yesterday, he was willing to give everything for this school and the whole world, because there is what he yearns for and what he likes. But now, he wanted to be alone, without anyone to disturb him. He walked to the lake and sat on the stone where he had talked to Luna the last time, smiling mockingly. Not long ago he had just assured Luna that nothing would change and that he would let him Hogwarts becomes what it used to be. But he didn't expect that the price of Hogwarts becoming what he used to be is that he himself has changed. He thought about it all over the past 2 days, and he felt that the reason why he would rather be alone was that after Dumbledore officially handed over the responsibility of Hogwarts and the wizarding world to him, he felt the difference between himself and the others. There is always a barrier. This barrier separates him from the rest of the world. He has never felt this way before. He clearly feels that he has never been integrated into this world. Now everyone regards him as a hero, but he understands that hero is just a synonym, just a sign. The former hero was Dumbledore, the later hero was Harry, and the current hero is not necessarily Lin Sha. It was not until this time that he discovered that he had never found his place in this world 280, that he had no sense of belonging to this world to him, or to each other. Last time, he was still here to comfort Luna. Don't feel lonely, don't be afraid of being alone. At this moment, he experienced loneliness so bluntly, what kind of feeling it was. He sat by the lake, thinking quietly. He rescued Sirius and changed his fate. He has also changed Harry's fate, and will change the fate of Dumbledore, Hogwarts, and even the entire Ministry of Magic in the future. But what about his own destiny? A destiny belonging to Lin Sha, what exactly is it? He was a little confused. At this moment, the sun is shining, and people not far away are laughing, not afraid of the coming risks. Lin Sha looked at those people. Each of them could find their own place in this world. It might be someone's son, or the heir of a certain family, or something else, but he couldn't find it. He felt that he was in 2 worlds with these people, and there was an insurmountable distance between them. Lin Sha sat by the lake for a long time, staring at the water, and finally shook his head, letting himself stop thinking about these ethereal things. After the sun went down, he clearly felt a chill, stood up, and said with a self-mockery, "Lin Sha, look, you can still feel the existence of this world. 35. After Dumbledore had said everything to the Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, he went into the Forbidden Forest alone, and brought out Umbridge, who was trapped in Centaur territory. No one knew how he brought her out, except that when Dumbledore came out, he was unharmed, but Umbridge had been tortured with some insanity. Later, Lin Sha saw Umbridge when she was in the restaurant. As soon as she saw Umbridge, she immediately shouted and ran out of the restaurant. She ran away cautiously, Lin Sha didn't chase after her, and now Umbridge wouldn't let Lin Sha spend a little bit of effort on her. It's just that Umbridge's luck is not very good. She originally wanted to leave secretly, but she met Peeves on the way. Peeves seized the last chance and couldn't stop her happily and did not use magic on her. He threw everything he could get on her body without hesitation. Many people went to see how she fled in embarrassment. The deans and professors of various colleges did not appear, as if they were letting the students treat her like this. In the end, Filch came out and stopped everyone. He watched Umbridge's departure sadly, and said, the time Umbridge was headmaster was the best time at Hogwarts. He expressed deep regret for Umbridge's departure. Then he returned to his post without a word, guarding the gate of Hogwarts. The departure of Umbridge made the school lively for a while, and when I walked to every corner, I could hear people talking about, when I didn't have the strength to be the principal, those, weird, severe, harsh atmosphere, everyone was celebrating, the return of Dumbledore. With Umbridge gone, the last dinner of the semester is approaching. Most of the people had packed their bags and went down to the dinner party, except Harry and Lin Sha. Let's sort it out tomorrow. Ronald urged Harry, the dinner party is about to start, and I'm starving to death. 39. I'll be fine soon, you go first. When Ronald passed through Lin Shao's room, he saw that Lin Sha hadn't packed his things at all, and asked a little strangely, Lin Sha, why don't you pack your things? 35. Lin Sha glanced at his bed, then said, I'm not in a hurry, I'll have time to clean up tomorrow. Then let's go to the banquet first, I'm starving to death. Ronald took Lin Sha and left. In fact, Lin Sha, like Harry, didn't want to go to this dinner. Because he knew that at the dinner party, Dumbledore would inevitably mention himself, then Voldemort, and finally the past year. Most of my time at Hogwarts was happy. It's just that Lin Sha doesn't want to reminisce about this year at all. In fact, there is nothing worth reminiscing about, right? After Lin Sha and Ronald left, Harry put down the things he was packing and sat on the bed one by one. He noticed that there was a very nicely packaged small package in the corner under his bed, and he didn't know why it was there. He took it out, and when he opened the package, a small mirror fell off. It looked old and of course dirty. Harry looked at his face in the mirror, and he remembered the mirror. This is Sirius, given to him a long time ago. He still remembers when Sirius said, this is a double-sided mirror, there are two of them, and I have one here. If you want to find me, just call my name in the mirror. You will appear in me in your mirror, and I will appear in your mirror and talk to you. Harry looked in the mirror. After returning from Sirius, he and Sirius basically didn't talk to him. He knew that Sirius was deliberately avoiding appearing in front of him, so as not to make his already unstable mood worse. Oops. Harry looked at the mirror again, held it up in front of him, his hands trembled slightly, and said loudly but clearly, Sirius. There was a mist on the mirror, and he held it closer. Sirius, Blake. After a while, Harry's face in the mirror became Sirius's. Hey, Harry, I heard you calling me. Sirius was the same as before, no different, I think it's dinner time, why haven't you been there yet? Harry bowed his head, as if that's the ability, to say what he wanted to say but didn't say, I don't want to go, and I don't want to go either. Sirius did not speak, the two of them just watched silently. Sirius, I'm so glad you can come back. You may not know, when I saw in my dream the scenes where you were caught and you were hurt, I was afraid countless times, I was afraid that I would never have a chance with you. See you. At that time, I couldn't think of anything, I just wanted to hurry up and rescue you. I know. Sirius looked at him, I know, you will fight desperately for me. Just like if I knew you were in danger, I would do anything to save you. 99. But, I couldn't save you. I'm glad you came back, but I couldn't help you. Harry's eyes were wet, I don't know how to face you. Harry, we should all look forward. Sirius urged him. No matter how scared you are, or how sorry you are, the fact is that I'm back and Voldemort can't do anything to me. Besides, you're still everyone's hero. Harry, one thing you have to admit, to make Voldemort disappear completely, we couldn't do it without you. But, I'm afraid I can't do it. Harry was a little broken, and said to Sirius, who had money, what he was most worried about during this time, Sirius, I'm worried that I can't do anything well. Actually, so far, I haven't done anything well either. I always seem to be making a mess. No. Not so, Harry. 39. Sirius didn't agree at all, and said to Harry, I've heard them all, you organized the Dumbledore army in the school. It is because of the Dumbledore army that many people are united. Even now, they are always working hard to defeat Voldemort. It's your credit, Harry. However, I also cost Dumbledore the headmaster. But no one will blame you for this, Harry. Sirius looked at him worriedly. Harry, you've put too many things on your shoulders, you know, we never need to apologize for something you didn't do. 39. It wasn't you who kicked Dumbledore out of school, it was Umbridge, and he's been punished now. 35. Harry, cheer up, don't punish yourself for the past full of remorse, those are over. Sirius's eyes were full of concern. We all need you to cheer up, you should let go of your own heart, look around, you will find that this world is not bad. Not bad? Harry repeated murmured. Harry, you are too pessimistic now, and you think too bad about everything. What an optimistic and aggressive person you were before, Harry. Sirius said sadly, Harry, you are losing yourself. Own. Harry knew that since Dumbledore had told him those things, his whole being was full of negativity. He felt that his whole life seemed to be defined by others, and he could only move within this framework, and he could not find himself. He resisted such a mission, and he didn't want to accept it, so he sealed himself up as he was 280 years ago, and he didn't want to contact anyone anymore. Harry, go to the window. Harry walked to the window and looked down at the celebratory dinner party. The atmosphere of joy was spreading upwards. Upstairs, he was alone. You should have some confidence in you, Harry, said Sirius. Everyone knows that Voldemort has been resurrected, but everyone is still celebrating. It's because they're confident, because they beat Voldemort once, so they firmly believe that they can beat the second time. More importantly, they have confidence in you. And they have confidence in you because you've been doing well, Harry, you have to admit, you've been doing well over the years. Sirius said, and all you need to do now is keep going. Just keep doing it. It's not that hard for you. Harry, 9. Harry looked at Sirius, and the string that had been tensing in his mind suddenly snapped. He felt as if something had opened up in front of him. The scar on the forehead that has been aching for the past 2 days is no longer painful. Yeah, it's not like he didn't beat Voldemort, like Dumbledore said, he beat Voldemort 4 times, and it wasn't him this time, but they won too. Voldemort is not a completely invincible existence, it has always been his fear of Voldemort, which intensified his strength in his heart. Voldemort also has weaknesses, doesn't it? So, he can do it. Harry's eyes gradually became clearer. He looked at Sirius and said excitedly, thank you so much, Sirius, I have to say, I'm so glad that you are still alive. I can still talk to you. Oh, what's the matter? Sirius waved his hand. Sirius, I'll go back to you when the dinner is over. I think I might need to go down now and be with my mates, and I want to celebrate this dinner with them. You know, I don't want to miss it. 55. Go on, Harry. I think they'll be glad you showed up. Years. After speaking, Harry put down the mirror and ran downstairs. Harry rushed out of the dormitory and ran down the spiral staircase. The portrait on the stairs saw his eager figure and asked strangely, Harry, why are you in such a hurry? Harry replied as he ran, I'm going to the dinner party, now that the dinner party has started, I can't be late. The fat lady shook her head, it's really a child, I'm so excited to attend the dinner party. It seems that I'm really old. In the banquet hall. Lin Sha, as always, felt everyone's attention, sat in the seat, looked at the food in front of him, and had no appetite at all. This kind of dinner is really boring. Lin Sha, did you see Luna? Ronald asked, she just sat here for a while and then left. Do you, Abd, know where she went? 35. Lin Sha raised his head, but he didn't see Luna anywhere. I don't know, did you see which direction she was heading? I don't know. Ronald shook his head. It just so happened that Lin Sha didn't want to stay here anymore, so he got up and said, I'll go find her. She doesn't want to be alone now. Hermione watched Lin Sha get up and asked, the dinner is about to start, where are you going? Lin Sha was just about to say go to Luna, but after seeing her expression, he swallowed his words and said, I want to walk by myself, and I will be back in a while. 95. Hermione looked at the back of Lin Sha leaving and hesitated. Lin Sha walked in the direction of the dormitory, he turned the corner, and was about to ask Mrs. Fat if Luna was here. Mrs. Fat would definitely know where she was. He walked to Mrs. Fatty's side and saw a person in front of him who was nailing something on the wall. Lin Sha walked over, and Luna the old tomato. Luna saw the person in the dark, it was too late to hide, she followed the footsteps and looked over, it was Lin Sha. Lin Sha, why are you here? Luna looked at him nervously and walked over. Why didn't you attend the dinner below, what are you doing here? Lin Sha asked. Well, I came here to find my things, and many of my things are gone. Luna said calmly, you know they always like to hide all my things, today is the last day, I want to put they're all found. I know where they're hiding, and I've marked them all. Luna took out a piece of paper on which she recorded what she lost and where it was hidden, but some were ticked. Looking at Luna like this, Lin Sha was inexplicably angry, he frowned and asked, have they always treated you like this? Oh, Luna shrugged, you know, they call me Luna, they think I'm weird, so just use this method to stimulate me. The anger in Lin Zhao's heart was even stronger, he felt that it shouldn't be like this, Luna was just a little simple, she shouldn't be treated like this. This is not the reason why they can treat you like this, Lin Sha said, looking at Luna, I'll help you find it together first. Seeing that Lin Sha was angry, Luna said soothingly, actually, there is no need to look for it. When I go home tomorrow, they will definitely bring it back. It's just that I wanted to pack up tonight, so I came to find it myself. Luna looked at Lin Sha, by the way, why didn't you attend the dinner party? Lin Sha shrugged like she did, like you, I don't want to participate. No, you just don't like those strange eyes. Luna stared at Lin Sha with her misty eyes, I know you're not, you don't like people treating you like a monkey, do you? Lin Sha nodded and found that for some reason, he didn't mind talking to Luna about his thoughts at all. Have you, he said, did you ever feel like everyone in the world has an obstacle in your way? Yes, said Luna simply, my mother, who died when I was 9 years old, was a very good wizard, and she was very fond of experiments, but one time her spell suddenly failed, and she passed away. During that time, I always felt that I was the only one left in this world. Especially, when I see other people can still laugh happily, I find that I can't laugh no matter what, and I have a feeling of being abandoned by the world. I'm sorry. Lin Sha didn't expect to mention Luna's sadness inadvertently. It was really scary at that time, Luna continued in one breath. Since then, I started to learn spells like crazy, experiment even more crazy, and everyone regarded me as a lunatic. Even now, sometimes I still feel bad, but fortunately I still have a father, and no matter what, I have seen my mother after all. Isn't it? Yes, you are right. Lin Sha said uncertainly. He had no way to tell Luna that he was not as lucky as Luna, that he had no relatives in this world. Luna looked at him and shook her head in disbelief. I believe that if you have someone you want to meet, you will definitely meet them. They will also find a way to see you. Lin Sha felt even more sad that he didn't even know who he wanted to see. If I had to say one, it would be Voldemort. After all, he has to beat him. Lin Sha shook his head, letting himself no longer be immersed in these ethereal thoughts. Are you sure you don't need me to help you find something? Lin Sha said, he couldn't believe that such a thing still happened in Hogwarts. Oh, no, Luna said. I think I want to go down and have some puddings now, and they'll be there when I get back, every time. Do you want to come with me? Lin Sha nodded, okay, then I'll go too. Luna walked in front, Lin Sha looked at her back and found that the original heavy thoughts seemed to lighten. After returning from the banquet hall, Lin Sha used the magic ring to visit Luna specifically, and found that as he said, those lost things had been returned. At the same time, he also saw who lost her things. Lin Sha used punishment magic on those people in the dark, making them shrink in Hogwarts uniforms like giant slugs, making them limp there. The next day, because this incident also caused a sensation, the school's teachers checked for a long time, but did not find any clues, so they could only make these students feel unlucky. After Luna heard about these people, she knew that Lin Sha was avenging her, because these people were the ones who bullied her the hardest in the school. Before Luna boarded the express return, she looked at Lin Zhao's figure from a distance, and ripples appeared in her heart. She had never been protected by a boy, this was the first time. It was also the first time that I saw an emotion called loneliness in someone other than her. She hesitated, and for a moment, she wanted to walk to Lin Zhao's side and tell him that he could go home with her. Just as she was about to walk over, she was called into the car by the teacher. Luna, what are you going to do? The car is going. Luna glanced at Lin Sha, but got into the car, okay, I know, I'm sorry, teacher. 2 days later, almost everyone in the school left, and not even the teacher stayed. They also went back to their own families, Harry and Lin Sha have not left yet. Harry sent a lot of people away in the past 2 days. As usual, he said goodbye to his classmates intimately. Just as no one found out about her loss, no one found out that he was healed. Harry looked at Lin Sha alone, walked over, and said with some twist, Hi, Lin Sha, I mean, if you don't know where you should go, you can leave with me first. Well, even though mine is not a good place, at least you can come with me. Or, if you want, we can go back to my aunt's house first, and then go out to play together in a few days. Well, you know, I had no friends before, and I wasn't very familiar with that world. So, in this regard, I am the same as you. Flowers. Lin Sha looked at the cheered-up Harry and breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at him. Harry, congratulations, cheer up. Harry blushed a little and said, I haven't thanked you yet, it's all because of you. Lin Sha, I can't imagine what I would have been like if you hadn't brought Sirius back that day. 99. Lin Sha smiled lightly and patted his shoulder, I am also for myself. 95. Harry looked at Lin Sha and said, then, do you want to go back with me? Lin Sha was silent for a while, shrugged, and said, well, at least it seems that I have no other good place to go. Perhaps, this summer vacation, you would like to visit my hometown with me. Harry was a little shocked, is that okay? I've never been anywhere else. Speaking of which, it's really exciting. Lin Sha said, then now, I think we might need to go back and pack our own things first, I guess, you haven't finished packing, have you? Harry nodded. After the two packed their things, they boarded the Hogwarts Express on the return journey together. But this time, the return journey was far more exciting than expected. Malfoy, Crabbe, Goyle, hid quietly in the dark, and after seeing everyone leaving the school, Harry and Lin Sha finally left, and there was no teacher by their side. He hid in a carriage, ready to attack Harry and Lin Sha by surprise. But all this was discovered by Lin Sha before they got into the car. Lin Sha pretended to go to the toilet, and the three of them lay in ambush on the way back to Chixiang from the toilet. Before attacking, Lin Sha removed all their weapons with one look. I said, you are far from my opponents, why don't you listen to my persuasion? Lin Sha shook his head helplessly. Lin Sha, if you have the ability, let's fight in an upright manner. Malfoy said unwillingly. Lin Sha tilted his head to look at him, why should I fight you in an upright manner? No matter what, you can't beat me, can you? If that's the case, then I can fight as I want. You. Malfoy felt himself greatly insulted. Lin Sha didn't want to listen to what they were saying, and instantly turned them all into slugs even uglier than those who bullied Luna, carried them into the carriage of him and Harry, and threw them on the ground. Let them squirm on the ground. The few things Harry threw in at the beginning by Lin Sha was disgusting. After hearing that they were Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle later, there was an indescribable expression on his face. Guess, if Malfoy's mother saw him get out of the car like this, would she have passed out with rage? Harry watched Malfoy squirm on the ground. 280, he still couldn't forgive Malfoy for what he did to him at school, to Luna, and the rest of the Dumbledore army. I don't know Malfoy's mother, Lin Sha said, looking at the always timid Gower, but I think Gower's mother will be happy, don't you think he looks better now than before? Harry watched him seriously for a while, then nodded earnestly, indeed. Much more pleasing to the eye than it was at school. The sound of a trolley came from outside the carriage, and Harry asked, Lin Sha, the trolley has brought food, do you want something to eat? Lin Sha said casually. Harry walked over to buy a lot of food, and when he got back to the carriage, he saw Hermione was already in their carriage with the Daily Prophet in his hand. Hermione, why are you here? Hermione, like them, spent the last day together. Hermione glanced at Harry first, then at Lin Sha, raised the newspaper in her hand, and said, I'm not very relieved. What are you worried about? Hermione read the contents of the newspaper. The previous morning, the Ministry of Magic had sent a large number of wizards to track down the Dementors, and many Dementors were repressed in Azkaban. Now, the Ministry of Magic is hunting a large number of predators. Dead apostles, and Voldemort was seen one morning. They've been very active lately, and I think we'll be really face to face with him in the near future. 99. Hermione looked at Harry and Lin Sha, there are still many Death Eaters in Voldemort, and he won't let you two go. You. Lin Sha and Harry looked at each other, they both knew what Hermione meant. But Lin Sha didn't care about Voldemort at all, he said comfortingly, don't worry, Hermione, we'll be fine. I've been with Harry this summer, don't worry. 99. Hermione shook her head in frustration. It hasn't really started yet. I already feel the calm before the storm. Harry is not as relaxed as Lin Sha. If Voldemort moves too frequently, his forehead should give him a warning, but he clearly didn't feel anything unusual. Since chatting with Sirius that day, he has never felt the pain in his forehead again. Harry patted his forehead sharply, it's too bad, I just said I forgot something, I forgot Sirius at Hogwarts. Harry slumped on the bed with some love, oh, I hope when I go back to Hogwarts, he's not particularly angry and will still treat me like he used to. I think it's a little difficult, Harry. Hermione interrupted his fantasy. Before I left, I went to see Hagrid in the Forbidden Forest. Sirius was there at the time, and he said firmly to me, you will go there to find him, leave Hogwarts with him. 5. Oh my God. Harry exclaimed, I wish the summer vacation was a little longer so I could see Sirius later. Several people talked about Voldemort again. Hermione found that Lin Sha really didn't care at all. However, Harry couldn't care about Voldemort for the time being after the Sirius affair. In his opinion, Sirius was more terrifying than Voldemort. In the strife of the three people, the train gradually approached King's Cross Station, and they could clearly feel the car slowing down. Hermione had never felt so reluctant to it as she did now, and she looked around, even a flash of thought, that she wished something would happen to give her a reason to refuse to get out of the car and drive straight back to Hogwarts. But obviously, nothing happened. Harry stood up, carrying the cage as before and pushing the suitcase out of the car. The ticket inspector told Harry, Lin Sha, Hermione, it is now safe to cross the fence to platform 9 3/4. Lin Shao's eyes flashed with surprise. There was a group of people he had never thought of, standing there to greet him. It's Wesley and Mrs. They're wearing muggle clothes, and behind them are Fred and George, but it's clear they haven't had a good time at home these days. Ronald. Mrs. Wesley shouted, running over quickly, hugging her child tightly, turning her head to see Harry and Lin Sha. Hi, dear Lin Sha, and Harry, how have you been? Okay. Very good. Lin Sha also stepped forward and hugged Mrs. Thanks to you, we had a good time at school. Mrs. Wesley gently hugged him back. Lin Sha, I have always heard the two of them talk about your deeds. You are an amazing child. I am very happy for you. Thank you, ma'am. Lin Sha has only met Mrs. Wesley once, that is, after Fred and George left the school. They did not leave Hogwarts. They have been hiding in the school, for fear of others being bullied by Umbridge. Later, after Dumbledore returned to Hogwarts, Dumbledore went to them, but they all refused to return to Hogwarts. As a last resort, in order to keep them, Dumbledore approached Mrs. Wesley. After hearing about their deeds, Mrs. Wesley expressed her support for all their wishes. That time, Mrs. Wesley showed the greatest kindness to him, so Lin Sha respected Mrs. Wesley very much. Mrs. Wesley looked at 1. 3 and Harry asked, how about you, Harry? Why do I feel like you don't look very good? Harry stepped forward and hugged Mrs. Wesley tightly, and Mrs. Wesley hugged him tightly. I'm fine, ma'am. Maybe it wasn't that great for a while, but it's fine now. That's fine, everything will get better. Mrs. Wesley hugged him and said excitedly. Lin Sha looked at Ronald and looked at Fred and George in amazement. What are you guys wearing? This is the best dress, I promise, you will never find a better dress than this. Fred said triumphantly, you would never have imagined that George and I are in business now, and we are looking at it looked like it was doing pretty well, so we bought this for us as a reward for ourselves. As soon as he finished speaking, Mrs. Wesley slapped Mrs. Wesley on the head. Mom, we did a good job. You praised us to my father yesterday, why are you being beaten again today? Fred protested in words, but his eyes were obviously guilty. You're too kind to say, I. Mrs. Wesley was making a noise, but Harry couldn't hear it anymore. He looked not far away, 2 people he had never thought of appeared here. Lin Sha followed his line of sight and saw that the 2 were none other than Harry's aunt and uncle. Ronald also saw it, and quietly pulled Mrs. Wesley's sleeve to stop them from continuing to quarrel, and motioned them to look in Harry's line of sight, and also saw Harry's aunt and uncle. Mrs. Wesley patted Harry's 07 on the back soothingly, and said kindly, Harry, I think you can have a good chat with them before you go home. In fact, you and Lin Sha are very welcome to our family's arrival. Lin Sha gave Mrs. Wesley a grateful smile, a kind woman who always gave him the warmest tenderness at all times. Harry did the same, but he shook his head and said, I don't think it's a good idea, but thanks Mrs. Wesley. Okay. Mrs. Wesley patted Harry's back lightly, then walked towards Aunt Petunia. Aunt Petunia looked at Harry crampedly, and it was clear that the situation was making her difficult. Because by his side was Uncle Vernon with a scowl. Mrs. Wesley walked up to her uncle with a proud face. Hello, I'm Mrs. Wesley, I think you should remember me. Yes, hello. Uncle Vernon's eyes were always fixed on Harry. Mrs. Wesley looked at it, then said, I think there is one thing I might need to talk to you about. What's the matter? Uncle Vernon turned his eyes away from Harry and looked at the plump lady in front of him. I want to talk to you about Harry's treatment at your house. Mrs. Wesley's face remained peaceful, and the expression on her face did not change. After Aunt Petunia heard this, she became even more uneasy. She looked around, but she didn't dare to look into Mrs. Wesley's eyes, let alone put her eyes on Harry. I don't think our family affairs have anything to do with you, ma'am. After all, it's our family affairs. Uncle Vernon said, obviously unhappy when he heard this. I think you misunderstood my attitude, said Mrs. Weasley, who was kind and cold in an instant. Then shall I talk to you like this? If you let me know that you continue to abuse Harry, then, I promise from that day on, it will be any penny you receive in this world. 95. From now on, I will cut off all your ways of earning money. You'd better believe me, I have this strength. Mrs. Weasley said fiercely. Yes, you have to let Harry use the phone, we'll be calling him often. Fred and George spoke aside. Yes, that's it. If we know that Harry has been treated unfairly in any way, I'll ask you to explain immediately. I'll punish you. Ronald, now behind Mrs. Weasley, added timidly, you can't treat him like that. Hearing these words, Uncle Vernon trembled with anger. His anger at these words had surpassed his fear of these people with special abilities. Are you trying to threaten me? Uncle Vernon roared loudly, Madam, don't you think that I will be threatened by a group of children? Yes, I'm threatening you, said Mrs. Weasley. I hope you'd better accept my threats, or you'll have a hard time, I promise. 95. Do you think I'm a man to be threatened? Uncle Vernon was furious. Aren't you? Ronald looked at him and said, did you misunderstand yourself? I can make it clear to you that you've always been the kind of person you've always been, and you'd take threats, wouldn't you? 35. Fred turned to look at Harry. Harry, if you need any help, you can come to us anytime. But I think you'd better keep in touch with us at all times. Fred paused, looking at Uncle Vernon. If we haven't heard anything from you for 3 days, then we will definitely go to find you. What will happen then I don't know. You. 35. Lin Sha watched this scene, smiled lightly, and said aloud, don't worry, I won't be here. 35. Lin Sha walked up to Uncle Vernon and introduced himself. Hello, sir, I'm a student at Hogwarts and Harry's classmate. I'll be with Harry at your house this summer. Please don't mind the inconvenience. Uncle Vernon didn't expect this to happen. Did I say you can come to my home? This is my home, and my home does not welcome any outsiders. But what should I do? Principal Dumbledore asked me to come to your house. Lin Sha straightened up and looked at Uncle Vernon. If you have any questions, why don't you talk to Principal Dumbledore? I believe he should have a lot to say to you too. Hearing the words Dumbledore, Uncle Vernon instantly looked like a flower with a splintered branch, and his previous anger was washed away like a pot of cold water. Okay. Uncle Vernon said with twinkling eyes. Hearing Uncle Vernon's words, Dolly, who had been waiting for him to teach Harry a lesson, said dissatisfiedly, Dad. Why do you want this person to come to our house? Didn't you say that he came to teach Harry a lesson today? Shut up. Uncle Vernon said fiercely to his son. Oh, I forgot, there's this little cutie here. George walked over to Dolly, leaned in front of his face, and pointed to Malfoy, who was still on the ground and had not changed back. Crabbe and Goyle said. Have you seen these 3? If I knew, if you continued to bully Harry, I would turn you into the 3 of them. 5. Oh, by the way, just to remind you, I'm not a Hogwarts student now, and I won't be punished by the school. Remember? Dolly shrank his head instantly, wishing he could be so small that no one could see him. Harry and Lin Sha followed Uncle Vernon to their home. Uncle Vernon's expression didn't look good, but he didn't dare to speak out. After entering the house, he angrily threw a sentence, your room is on the 2nd floor. Then he went back to his room. Dolly had expected his father to do something to punish Harry, but seeing his father like this, he gave him and Lin Sha a stern look, and then left. Auntie gave Harry a cowardly look, I'll go up and clean up the room for you. Without waiting for Harry to say anything, he left. Harry and Lin Sha were already exhausted, and by the time they both lay on the bed, it was already very late. It's a pity that witchcraft can't be used here. Harry said as he lay on the bed, his head resting on his hands. There's no way. In the eyes of most people, witchcraft is a crooked way, and it's a spell that hurts people. They don't want witchcraft to exist. Lin Sha understands very well why the magical world stipulates that all wizards in the Muggle world cannot use witchcraft. Anyone who uses witchcraft will be regarded as an alien. However, we don't use witchcraft to hurt people, and even witchcraft can help a lot. Harry looked at Lin Sha disapprovingly. Yes, you're right, we won't use witchcraft to hurt people, but can you guarantee that others won't? Not to mention Voldemort and Lucius Malfoy, even Umbridge and the others, will cause destruction to this world. Sexual harm. Harry, ordinary people can't do anything about them. Lin Sha looked at him and said. Harry is a cursor in the magical world. He doesn't want Harry to have the idea of bringing things from the magical world into the real world. When that happens, it will be devastating. In fact, with the growth of the magical world and the development of the real world, ordinary people will sooner or later detect the existence of a group of wizards. Even now he believes that there must be some ordinary people who know the existence of wizards, although only a very small number of people. However, he was all too aware of what people in the real world thought about wizards. If some people know, there will be a day that most people know. What will happen at that time? In Lin Zhao's mind, there are only the words, never-ending war. Conflict. Thinking of this, Lin Sha suddenly turned his head and said to Harry, "You know, in my hometown, people don't particularly reject the magical world. Although there are only a few wizards, there are thousands of them in my hometown. If you are interested, we can visit my hometown." Lin Sha mentioned this because he suddenly remembered that a long time later, a war between ordinary people and wizards really happened here, and it was a tragic one. Speaking of which, in the war between Muggles and wizards, there were two Dark Lords, and now Voldemort is the second generation, although they have always regarded him as the strongest enemy, but to be honest, Voldemort's temperament, and abilities, compared with the first-generation Dark Lord Grindelwald in all aspects, are much inferior. Voldemort was nothing compared to Grindelwald. If you have to compare, it is that Grindelwald is Chow Chow, and Voldemort is Chow Pai. Grindelwald is in the wrong era, but he can indeed be called a hero, and Voldemort is just a little kid who has not experienced the big world. Although Grindelwald was defeated, he was to improve the status of wizards and make wizards above all races. Above, as a career to do, although the cause of failure, but also worthy of the heart. And Voldemort, from the beginning to the end, only asked for himself. What he thought was how he could rule the wizarding world and how he could beat others. To tell the truth, if Voldemort ruled the wizarding world, the whole world would not change much, except that the wizarding world might be dimmed. However, if Grindelwald rules the world, the order of the whole world will be turned upside down. Although both are Dark Lords, the gap between the two is still quite large. So, to be honest, Lin Sha basically didn't take Voldemort too seriously. After all, he was completely capable of crushing him. Lin Sha shook his head thinking about it, and threw those thoughts out of his mind. He couldn't help laughing. He was really a demon. Except for Hogwarts, his mind was still there. "Harry, I want to drink a glass of water." Lin Sha looked at him and said. Harry nodded, sat up from the bed, put on his slippers, poured a glass of steaming water, and gave it to Lin Sha. Lin Sha took a small sip. The temperature was fine, and he drank it all in one breath. "Lin Sha, does your family have a magician? Is there a magician who is more powerful and talented than you?" Harry looked at him and asked. Lin Sha gave Harry a stunned look, then smiled. "What am I tell you, there are many more powerful magicians than me. I can't see enough in front of those ancestors." "Oh. Is it that powerful?" Lin Sha nodded. "China's magician, in other words, those who have legends in history." Lin Sha can say several with his mouth open. "What do you think of our school's fortune-telling?" Lin Sha asked him. "To be honest, it's useless. I haven't learned anything except for divination every day and whether I have classes." Harry said that the divination class was really the most useless class he felt, bar none. "You know, in an earlier era, there was a dynasty in my hometown, that is, the era of fortune-tellers. At that time, people used to fortune-telling at all times. There have been many powerful fortune-tellers, and they can almost take charge of the big and small things in the country. I think that should be. The wizard has the highest status and the most powerful era." "So powerful? What about them now, do they still exist?" Harry asked with bright eyes. He never knew there was such a wonderful moment for wizards. Lin Sha shook his head. "I don't know, it may or may not exist. Even if it exists, only a few people should know about it." Lin Sha was talking about the Shang dynasty, when divination was popular, and at that time, witch doctors could decide almost everything in the whole country. Yin of the Shang dynasty was even more outstanding. However, after all, 1,000 years have passed. Whether these wizards still have their own bloodlines, it is really hard to say. Anyway, he has never heard of it. There should be. Wizards always know how to survive in the most dangerous places. If it is as powerful as you say, there must be such a family in China. Maybe even with like Hogwarts, they also created a world for themselves. Years. Harry became more and more excited as he spoke, as if he had seen those people. Harry went over to open the door of the carriage, and Lin Sha felt a gust of wind blowing in an instant. "No!" Lin Sha exclaimed after reacting. "Harry, come back." At this moment, Harry was already frightened by the sight in front of him. His face instantly paled and motionless. Lin Sha used the Lord of the Rings, appeared behind Harry, and took him away in an instant. It was only now that Harry realized what he had just seen. He couldn't help retching. Lin Sha, what was that just now? Harry had never seen anything like that. Lin Sha didn't answer him, and stared straight ahead. In front of him was a terrifying skeleton face. He was wearing a black robe and was about the same height as other people. However, there was no calcium deficiency on his body from head to toe, all of which were skeletons. Lin Sha could even feel the gusts of overcast wind blowing through the hole in the skeleton behind him and blowing onto his face. The scene was silent for a while, Harry's brain was pale, and the sound of banging, banging was gone. Lin Sha, is this a Dementor? Harry asked, clutching his heart. I have never seen such a terrifying Dementor. 99. Lin Sha nodded, these were indeed Dementors. It's just that Lin Sha is a little uncertain, whether these Dementors escaped from Azkaban to prison and escaped here, or are China's original Dementors that suddenly appeared, causing harm to the world. Lin Sha didn't have time to think about it, and the Dementor rushed in front of him, only a finger's distance away from her face. Harry looked at the Dementor's face, and instantly felt as if his entire body's blood was frozen. For a split second, he even thought of when Voldemort had pulled him that night. Those images of pain and fear made him feel a little desperate for a moment. Gret. Harry retched uncontrollably. Because of this, the Dementor's attention shifted from Lin Sha to Harry. Lin Sha took the opportunity to take out a long sword and stab the Dementor's head. At this time, the Dementor who was hit by the small sword immediately stopped moving. Slowly, from the place where he was hit, his skeleton began to shatter, and soon spread to his entire body. In the end, everything turned into powder, and his black robe fell to the ground. At this time, another gust of wind blew from the front carriage. At this time, the wind is normal, with the warmth of summer. Lin Sha turned his head and looked around, but did not find the existence of the second Dementor. At this time, the people in the carriage showed signs of gradually waking up. In order not to cause a stir, Lin Sha brought Harry back to their box. Harry hadn't recovered from the shock just now, until he got back to his car. He grabbed Lin Xiao's hand tightly. Lin Xiao, you don't know, just now I felt like I was in a dark place. Middle. The surroundings are pitch black, there is no direction, there is no light, I want to go but can't get out. 99. Lin Xiao clapped his hand and said, it's okay, those are just ordinary Dementors. After comforting Harry, Lin Xiao walked to the carriage just now. He wanted to pick up the black robe, maybe he could find some clues. However, when he returned to the carriage, he found that there was only a lump of powder on the ground. It was blown away by the passing wind. After about a minute, the people in the carriage also woke up. They didn't know what happened just now, they just thought they fell asleep inadvertently. Lin Xiao didn't stay in the carriage any longer and returned to his and Harry's box. The two rested for a while, and when they woke up, it was already night. The two were woken up by the inspecting flight attendants, only to know that they had reached the terminal station of the train, which was their destination, Jingshongqing. Harry was a little confused, completely confused, not only because of the jet lag, but also because of the shock just now. He didn't expect that on the train not long ago. He almost lost his life. Let's go to the first place of the journey. Lin Xiao patted him and said. Harry's face was tired, and his body was a little overwhelmed by the few days of the train journey. Lin Xiao booked a room for them before he came back. Of course he didn't book a super luxurious 5-star hotel, after all, in the eyes of ordinary people, they were just two children. Lin Xiao booked an ordinary hotel. Lin Xiao and the others came near the school, and the hotel was just across the street from the school. Therefore, the overall facilities are not bad. Lin Xiao looked around, supermarkets, restaurants, shopping malls, everything. Harry stopped in front of a dark pawn shop and said to Lin Xiao, look at this shop, does it look like a Hogwarts magic wand shop? Lin Xiao took a look from the outside and nodded, it does look a bit like it. He didn't look too closely, just looked around the hotel. After the incident on the train, Lin Xiao is not sure now, is it a good thing or a bad thing to bring Harry here? There are many thoughts in his mind. He feels that there are too many things to think about. Now he just wants to go back to his room and think about it. What should I do next? The two people came to the inside of the hotel and found that although the hotel looked very ordinary from the outside, in fact, there were different things there. Lin Xiao and Harry walked to the front desk. Hello, it's already booked, Lin Xiao. 35. Sitting in front of the bar was a woman with a scary face. Her face was covered with wrinkles. Although she was wearing a normal uniform, it was obvious that Lin Xiao could feel that the uniform did not fit her body. The woman was originally leaning on the chair at the front desk, with her eyes closed, and a small stick kept spinning in her hand. Hearing Lin Xiao's voice, the movements in his hands stopped. He opened his eyes, sat up from the chair, raised his head, and looked at Lin Xiao and Harry. Are you Lin Sha? Yes. Lin Sha replied. The woman casually flipped through the record book at the front desk and found Lin Shao's name on it. There are 2 people recorded here. The woman looked up at Harry behind Lin Sha, and took out a key. The room has been reserved for you, the top floor, 506. Climb up the stairs inside, to the 5th floor, the first room on the left. This is your key, you keep it. But you need to put something here to prove your identity, and it will be returned when you check out. You. Lin Sha gave his ID card to the front desk, took the key from the woman's hand, and walked towards the stairs. The front desk is resplendent, but the stairs are dimly lit, and the further up you go, the darker the light gets. Harry followed behind Lin Sha, wanting to take out his magic wand and follow the road in front of them. But as soon as the idea appeared in his mind, he was rejected. On the 5th floor, they walked directly to room 506, where Lin Sha opened the door with the key. What caught my eye was a room very similar to that of Hogwarts. The whole room is very old European style. Even in Hogwarts now, there are few such decorations, but fortunately, the room looks clean and tidy. The room is facing the street outside, but at this time, the sky is dark and basically nothing can be seen. Lin Sha and Harry walked into the room. After Lin Sha locked the door behind him, he lay down on the bed with his big letters open, his eyes fixed on the ceiling, motionless, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Harry also felt a little tired. Just like Lin Sha, he just lay on the bed in a daze. But the 2 of them, tossing and turning, did not sleep. Lin Sha, what are you thinking? Harry asked. Lin Sha sat up from the bed. He didn't speak. He just had a feeling that things were going in a very bad direction when he squatted on the train and encountered the Dementor. Moreover, he vaguely felt that he and Harry had been targeted from the very beginning, and all their actions back in China were being controlled by a hand behind the scenes, urging them to face something. Lin Sha didn't like this feeling very much. It was as if there were 2 hands playing chess, and he and Harry were just pawns in someone else's hand. Still that kind of, quite dangerous pawn. Lin Sha closed his eyes. He didn't know himself. Why did he feel this way? But he always believed in his own intuition, and this intuition of being treated as an ant made her feel a powerful anger. He doesn't want to be someone else's pawn, and he doesn't want to be treated as a silk puppet that can be manipulated at will. He is Lin Sha, and no one can treat it as a pawn. Lin Sha sneered. He would definitely find out what happened on the train. If someone did something to him, then he can only expect that person never to be found out by him. Lin Sha, what's the matter with you? Harry looked at Lin Shao's unpredictable face, and asked in some horror. Lin Sha came back to his senses, his eyes focused, and seeing Harry's worried eyes, he shook his head and said, "Can you pour me a glass of water?" Harry nodded. After Lin Sha drank the water, he slowly calmed down. Then she got up from the bed and walked to the sink in the bathroom. She looked at the mirror and suddenly found the person in the mirror, a little strange. In the mirror, the water droplets that had just been watered slowly dripped down his cheeks. His eyes were sharp, as if he was looking at something brutal. Lin Sha, have you noticed, this is all too strange. Ever since we discovered that Dementor on the train, I always feel that the air of this city is filled with the smell of Dementors everywhere. Harry appeared behind him and said in surprise. Lin Sha looked at himself in the mirror. He felt that now he was a prey, and then broke into the trap carefully set by the hunters. The Dementor on the train was the first trap. They finally got out of that trap, not knowing when they would fall into the next trap. Lin Sha shook his head and said to Harry, at least for now, it doesn't seem like anything will happen. It may also be that we are too tired. Take a rest, and maybe it will be much better to sleep. The past 2 days have indeed been a bit exhausting. Lin Sha took a deep breath and shook his head. The drops of water on his face, along with his movements, sprinkled drop by drop into the air. But, Dementors, black mist, all of this, don't you think it's really too similar? Harry lowered his voice. What will Voldemort and his Death Eaters do? Lin Sha closed his eyes and frowned, not answering Harry's words. The lighting in the bathroom is not bright, but rather dim, which is better than the sporadic starlight outside the room. Lin Sha really couldn't figure it out. If it was Voldemort, in this place, he and Harry were the only 2 people. Voldemort could take the Death Eaters directly and kill them all without knowing it. Why did it take so much trouble to let them discover the existence of Dementors? If it wasn't Voldemort, who was behind all this? Shaking his head, Lin Sha stopped thinking about these things. He walked over to Harry's side and patted him on the shoulder. Let's rest first. If it is Voldemort, he will definitely move in the future. We just need to be careful. Apart from that, there is no other way. Harry nodded. The 2 turned around and left the bathroom, turned off the lights in the bathroom, and sat back on the bed by the scattered starlight outside. The next morning, when the 2 got up, they found that it was already bright. On the train all the way, the two of them were a little tired, and they slept until almost noon. 0. For flowers. The two came out of the room and came to the backyard of the hotel. It is now the end of July, and the backyard is full of flowers, a gust of wind blows, and the fragrance of flowers is overflowing. Lin Sha looked at the scenery in this courtyard and felt a little relaxed. Afterwards, the two came out of the hotel and were walking on the street. They both stopped at the door of the pawn shop they met yesterday. Lin Sha looked at Harry and smiled, "Since we're here, let's go in and take a look." After Lin Sha finished speaking, he stepped over the threshold of the door and walked into the pawn shop. The pawn shop signboard only had the words Regrouping written on it. Lin Sha smiled. This is not like the name of a shop at all, it is more like the hope of the pawn shop owner than the name of the shop. The owner of this pawn shop is really interesting. Lin Sha thought to himself. Harry followed him into the pawn shop. Entering the interior of the pawn shop, the first thing that catches the eye is that in the lobby, there is a table of the 8 immortals in the most conspicuous position. On the table, a man in a robe is enshrined. Lin Zhao's poor historical knowledge can only recognize it. This is an ancient clothes. As for what dynasty, official position, or god statue this person was, he couldn't tell at all. Ignoring the god statue, Lin Sha looked around again and found that except for the god statue that was a little abrupt, the rest of the place was ordinary and nothing special. There was only one person in the pawn shop, who looked more like a laborer. He was wearing a short black jacket. He was sturdy, but his face looked very honest and honest. When you see Lin Sha and Harry come in, don't ask, "What are you doing here?" "We're just passing by and have a look." Lin Sha stepped forward and said. "If you are passing by, then please keep passing by." An old voice sounded behind them. Lin Sha looked in the direction of the voice, it was an old man with white hair. Lin Sha looked at the old man carefully, his neat white hair was neatly placed behind him. Although all the hair has turned white, but the eyes of the other party can be seen, shining brightly. He has a beard on his chin, so looking at it, it really looks like an ancient dress. The old man walked towards them, brushing his chin beard as he walked. The old man was dressed in a red tang suit with a bracelet on his hand. For some reason, Lin Sha fixed his eyes on the inner bracelet, and he felt that the bracelet was not an ordinary thing. "Young man, if you're just passing by, then keep passing by." While speaking, the old man repeatedly stroked his beard. "This street is quite lively at night. You two young lads of 297, it's better not to join in the fun." 35. "Teacher, how can you be like this? We opened the door to do business, how can you drive customers out like this?" The honest man, behind his back, said dissatisfiedly. "Two guests, you can take a look. I'll pour you a cup of tea. If you like it, let me know, and I can give you a good introduction." The man paused and said, "Here we are. It's a pawn shop, of course, if you have something you want to pawn, we will also accept it. Just 99. The man hesitated for a moment, then continued, "I think you two are still underage, if you want to pawn things, you have to ask your parents to come over." As the man said, he took out a teapot from nowhere, holding the teapot in one hand and the plate in the other, and came over. The man put down the plate, took out the tea sets on the plate one by one, and placed them one by one. He was very skilled, and filled the teacups of the three people with tea. As the tea was poured out, the whole house was instantly filled with the aroma of tea. Lin Sha took a deep breath and sniffed the tea smell in the air. He hadn't felt such a pure and strong tea smell for a long time. The people at Hogwarts like to drink the tea. This concentration of coffee, basically no one drinks tea. Lin Sha, although he is not very good at drinking tea, he knows how to taste tea. He knows that just by the smell of tea in the air, this tea is not an ordinary good tea. Thinking of this, Lin Sha took a deep look at the man, and the strange old man who was standing not far away, entertained the guests who came in casually with such a good tea. No matter how he thought about it, it made people feel strange. Moreover, Lin Sha looked at the man's movements when he poured the tea, which was skillful, smooth, and naturally comfortable. Isn't it a little strange for a pawn shop guy to know tea ceremony? Lin Sha raised the teacup lightly with his hands, blew the heat from the teacup, lowered his head and took a sip. In an instant, in his mouth and nose, all his senses left only one word, tea. After drinking it, I instantly felt my brain sober. In the past few days, the fatigue on the road has also dissipated a lot in an instant. Lin Sha turned his head to look at Harry, and found that he was even more exaggerated than himself. He closed his eyes and shook his head, obviously still reminiscing about the taste of tea. Lin Sha looked at the old man, "Wouldn't it be too wasteful to treat us two ordinary children with such good tea? "What's so precious about this?" the old man said indifferently. "Originally, this tea was specially purchased from other places to receive guests who came here." The old man looked at Lin Sha and said, "You say that this tea is precious, but it's not really worth it. However, for some special people, this tea has the effect of nourishing the soul and clearing the mind." 35. A special person? Lin Sha said with slightly narrowed eyes. At this moment, he was sure that his and Harry's every move was being watched by someone far away at Hogwarts. Lin Sha didn't speak any more, lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. "Hey, two guests, what's the matter?" the honest man said. "If you don't want to drink tea, I'll show you the items in our store, maybe there will be something you like." Lin Sha nodded. The honest man made a gesture of invitation and led the two of them towards the collection. Lin Sha casually glanced at the things in the collection area, and suddenly found that the things here were different from what he saw when he first came in. When he first came in, he noticed this collection area, and the things in it were just ordinary. But looking at it now, everything here is extremely expensive, everything has an inexplicable sense of heaviness, and some things give her a very familiar feeling. He knew that these were the things the wizarding world would use. The honest man walked to the center of the collection area, looked at the two of them and said, "Don't touch most of the things casually. If you want to see it, you can tell me and I will bring it out for you. If you touch it yourself, it's easy to be dangerous." Lin Sha and Harry looked at each other, then nodded. Lin Sha and Harry looked around, suddenly stopped in front of a showcase, and stared at a crystal bottle. The honest man felt his eyes and said with a smile, "Why are you interested in this thing?" Lin Sha didn't speak, and still stared at the bottle. The bottle was crystal clear, and you could vaguely see the constantly shaking liquid inside him. "Lin Sha, what is this?" Harry stepped forward and asked. "This, we call it magic water. Our boss didn't know where to get it. There were customers who wanted to buy this because of this bottle, but as soon as he opened the bottle, the water inside sprayed out and saw his skin. Everyone died instantly," said the honest man. As if a life disappeared in front of him, it was nothing but a normal thing. It's just that he looked at Lin Sha strangely, and Sihu Town asked, "How did Lin Sha know about this water?" Lin Sha actually doesn't know the origin of this water. When he saw this bottle just now, the system that had been deposited for a long time seemed to come alive suddenly. 3 alarm bells rang out in his mind, as if telling him that he must be to take this thing. Lin Sha couldn't help being surprised in his heart, rubbed his chin with his hand, and then asked, "Didn't you know this thing could kill people before?" "Everything in the world has a destiny," the old man said, in the vicissitudes of life behind them, everything has spirituality and destiny. When they see the colored glass water, it means that the colored glass water has a destiny with them. After the end of Liuli Shui, they can only say that this is their destiny. No one can change it. "Put this glazed water on me first." Lin Sha doesn't agree with any destiny at all. What he always believes in is that I order my lord, and man will conquer the sky. "Okay, then I'll take you to see other things." The honest man of 35 said with a calm face that he didn't even sell a single thing, which made him a little excited. When? The 3 ringing bells came from the inside of the pawnshop. Lin Sha and Harry looked at each other, and the two entered into a state of combat readiness in a very tacit moment, staring vigilantly at the honest man and the strange white-haired old man. "Don't be so nervous," the old man said slowly, "this is the sound of the auction opening." "Oh, look at my brain." The honest man patted his head, "I forgot to tell you, we have an auction here today, and it happens to be open. If you are interested, you can come with me, I will take you to see." The man said with a sincere face. Lin Sha hesitated for a while, then nodded. The man became even more enthusiastic, and took Lin Sha and Harry 07 to the interior of the pawnshop. They had just walked a few steps. Lin Sha turned his head to look at the strange old man. The old man didn't speak, just took the beads off his hands and played with them. Seeing Lin Sha looking back at him, he nodded to them with a smile. Lin Sha and Harry, following the honest man, walked into a dark corridor. Lin Sha stood at the intersection of the corridor and did not walk in immediately, but prepared all the magic tools in his heart. The thick and honest man, who seemed to have no accident, just stood there waiting for him, and when he felt that he was ready, he continued to move forward. Sure enough, as expected by Lin Sha, not long after they left, something strange happened again. The honest man held a small stick in his hand and tapped it in the air. Lin Sha felt the air in the entire corridor twist up and slowly began to change color. Finally, in the previously empty corridor, a gate appeared, and the honest man looked calm, as if the gate was here before, but they didn't see it. "We have to go in from here, let's go." The honest man walked first. "There will be many people inside, if you are not particularly confident in yourself, it is best not to conflict with others. Also, be sure to follow me closely, if I get lost, I may not be able to find you. 5. Lin Sha looked at the honest man's back and asked, are you bringing every guest who comes in casually to this kind of place? The honest man smiled and said sincerely, we only bring people who need to come here. How did you know we needed? Harry asked. The honest man stopped, faced them, pointed to his eyes, I have eyes, I can see. Pointing to his temples, I also have a brain and can think. 35. It's actually quite obvious, isn't it, said the honest man. Lin Sha didn't know what to say for a while, and the honest man didn't give them a chance to speak, it may be a little dizzy, you can close your eyes. 99. After speaking, Lin Sha only felt the world spinning for a while. When he opened his eyes, Lin Sha found himself standing on a very old street. How old is it? The streets here are all ancient, and the houses on both sides of the street exude a traditional ancient atmosphere everywhere. There were many people on the street, and they all walked in one direction, as if they were going to a market. They appear here and are particularly prominent. But no one looked at them, as if they were used to it. Welcome to the China auction. This is the largest auction in the magical world, and it is also a place to witness the development of the magical world from ancient times to the present. The honest man said with his hands folded in awe. Lin Sha knows that the awe of honest men is not towards them, but towards this place that has been preserved since ancient times. By the way, I haven't introduced myself to you yet. Hello, I am the member manager of China Auctions, my name is Abro. Lin Sha doesn't know why a very traditional Chinese person has such a Western name. Lin Sha and Harry nodded and introduced, I'm Lin Sha, he's Dolly. Lin Sha hesitated for a while, but still didn't say Harry's real name. After all, the name Harry Potter is also very famous in China, especially in the possible magical world of China, there should be no one who has not heard the name of Harry Potter. Just in case, it's better to be safe. Harry seemed very dissatisfied, and Lin Sha introduced himself as Dolly, one of the people he hated the most. Looking at Lin Zhao's expression, he didn't refute in the end, but he was obviously a little annoyed. Abro took Lin Sha and Harry down a street. They didn't go to any auctions. They just looked around and found that there was actually something to do on the street. There are also a lot of things to be auctioned. The auction floor here is not as they imagined. In a fixed high-level occasion, everyone sits below, and then the host above them takes out an auction item, and the people below start bidding. The higher bidder gets it. Here, it seems that everything can be auctioned, and the low point of the auction is not so limited. Put a piece of cloth and you can auction it. Auctions can be held anytime, anywhere, as long as two people start bidding. They saw that there was a large group of people not far in front of them, and it was obviously more lively than other places. 297. What's going on there, Abru? Harry pointed in that direction and asked. There, it's the golden area of the auction house. It is estimated that there are some novel treasures there. If you are interested, I will take you there to see it. Abru explained patiently. A few people walked over slowly and walked out of the crowd. Abru greeted everyone skillfully. Hi, old man, long time no see, but sorry, you may have to let me go, I brought two. The children came over and wanted them to go in and take a look. While greeting the others, Abru pushed aside the crowd stuck in front of them, and soon, Lin Sha and Harry took up the front row. Lin Sha walked over and saw that the person surrounded by people was not an auction item, but a teenager about their age. The young man looks very handsome, and Lin Sha can't feel any attack on him. The young man was wearing a plain face, with long hair tied up on his head and pinned at will with a wooden hairpin. Long time no see, Song Ming. It seemed that he heard someone calling his name, and the boy raised his head and looked at Abro. Hey, why are you here today? The young man looked past Abro and looked at Lin Sha and Harry. These two people look like raw faces. 35. Yes, the two customers in the store, just at the right time, I will take them here for a walk. What good things did you get? I looked at so many people outside. Abro nodded, lowered his head and asked. Hey, no matter how good I am, how can I have yours? By the way, didn't I go back home and get a generally good dagger from my hometown? What, are you interested? The boy named Song Ming pointed to a dagger on the booth and winked at Abro. Lin Sha looked at the dagger. The dagger was about 40 centimeters long and 2 inches across. The handle of the dagger was light red as a whole. He didn't know what stone it was made of, and it glowed with a faint dark light. Spiritually, there are 4 phoenixes with flames all over their bodies. The 4 phoenixes have no color, but the difference in size. Above the heads of the 4 phoenixes, there is a sun hanging there, and these 4 phoenixes are flying towards the sun above their heads. Phoenix dagger. You're lucky boy, this thing is really rare. However, I'm used to using my dagger, and I can't use this thing. After Abru glanced at the dagger, he said to Song Ming with a look of surprise, his tone was full of pity. Hey, why are you like this? You don't know, most of the people watching here just now are like you, and they all have their own daggers that they are used to. So, no matter how good this dagger is, no one can use it. Isn't it? I've been here for several days, and I don't know if I can still sell it. Song Ming said dejectedly. Don't worry, there will always be someone who needs such a good thing. I wish you could sell it as soon as possible, and I'll take the 2 of them to go shopping elsewhere first. Abru didn't say anything more. Abru turned his head to look at Lin Sha and Harry, then let's go shopping elsewhere. Lin Sha glanced at Aburu and walked towards the dagger. How can this dagger be sold? Hey, do you want it? If you want it, you can discuss it with you. Song Ming didn't expect the turnaround to come so quickly, he was instantly attentive like a skilled salesman. Look, this dagger of mine doesn't look ordinary. The dim light on it is a natural stone, which is unique in the history of the auction house. Let's see, this dagger is sharp and tough. Sharp, definitely a fine dagger. Song Ming glanced up and down at Lin Zhao's clothes. Well, if you don't have that much budget, I can buy it for you at a cheaper price. Say a price. Lin Sha smiled lightly. This dagger is a good dagger, but, as you said just now, I already have a dagger that I use frequently, and this dagger is really not very useful. I just want to buy it because it is rare for him. Come on. You can't just smack me because, I want this dagger. No, then how could it be? Song Ming shook his hand and said, no matter what, you are also friends brought by a bro, and even if I don't give others face, I can't help but give him. Song Ming gritted his teeth and said, let's do it. You give me 60 elf coins, it can't be said that I will cheat you. 995. Song Ming looked at Abro turned his head and said to Lin Sha, as far as the material of this dagger is concerned, 60 elf coins are really not much. Lin Sha originally had a budget of around 100 for this dagger, but now seeing this young man named Song Ming, he was so cheerful, so he bought the dagger without hesitation. It's refreshing. Song Ming looked at Lin Sha nervously. Lin Sha didn't speak just now. He thought that the price he asked for was too high, and he was thinking about whether to lower the price. I didn't expect that he would buy it so readily. Song Ming, are you happy now? After shooting for several days, it was finally sold. Abro said, everything that can enter this auction house has been tested, and generally it is not too bad. So in most cases, things will be auctioned off on the day they enter the auction house. If the second day and the third day have not been auctioned, it means that there is a high probability that this item will not be auctioned. I'm happy, of course I'm happy. I always thought, if no one wants to auction, then I will keep it myself. Anyway, it's a good thing, and it's not bad to take it back and use it as a collectible. Song Ming is also refreshing. People don't hide their thoughts. You kid. Abru shook his head and turned to look at Lin Sha and Harry, then let's go to other places first. Lin Sha nodded, and he found that the currency in common use here also includes galleons, which is the same as the currency of Hogwarts. Harry obviously found out about this too, and looked at Lin Sha with some excitement. Lin Sha motioned for him to stay calm. After walking for about half an hour, Lin Sha and Harry followed Abru to the door of a shop. There are 2 big characters on the sign at the entrance of the store, auction. 0. Lin Sha looked at these 2 words and thought to himself that this shopkeeper really knows how to name names. This whole street is an auction house, and he rescued these 2 names. He really has a personality. Entering the small store is not big, but the things are dazzling. As soon as you enter, the wall that catches your eye is covered with all kinds of magic wands, and there are all kinds of materials. A middle-aged man was sitting behind the counter. At this time, he was holding a cigarette in one hand and playing with a machine in his hand that he didn't know anything about. Duang duang. Abro walked to the front desk and tapped the counter top with his fingers. Stop playing, old Wang, I've brought you business. Woo, wait a minute, right now. Old Wang flicked the cigarette but without looking at them, and kept staring at the machine. After a while, Lin Sha heard the end of the game, and then he raised his head and looked at the machine. With their slaves. Tenua Zhao. Old Wang yawned, looked Lin Sha up and down, stared at Harry for a while, then turned to look at Abro. A raw face. 35. Yeah, that's why I brought you here. I'm afraid I'll suffer if I bring it to other places. Abro nodded. Wait a minute. Old Juan walked out of the counter and walked towards the corner of the store. There was a small door there. He opened the small door and got in. It was pitch black inside. Lin Sha didn't see anything, but he felt like it is the warehouse of this auction house. Lin Sha couldn't help but complained in his heart that this could not be the Ollivander in another place. After a while, Pharaoh came out with 2 magic wands in his arms. He looked ordinary and didn't seem to have any bright spots. Pharaoh put things on the counter. Welcome, 2 magic wands are auctioned together, and the hardware is raised. 39. Lin Sha looked at the unremarkable magic wand on the counter, and couldn't see where the 2 were worth hardware. Moreover, magic wands are generally custom-made, especially his and Harry's magic wands, which can already be called the best among magic wands. Lin Sha turned to look at Harry, and Harry shook his head at him, apparently not feeling that he needed this magic wand. Old Juan saw the movements of the 2 people in his eyes, and did not force it. He held the 2 magic wands and returned to the warehouse. Abru didn't force them either, so he took them out. After coming out, Abru asked, "There is also an auction house nearby, do you want to go and have a look? But there are usually many people there, and maybe they will meet other people who come to the auction. The things you like can only be auctioned." Abru said, just now, he brought Lin Sha and Harry to these places where few people would go, but the things inside were relatively good, so what they liked, they only needed to communicate with each other. The boss of the auction house 297 negotiates the price and does not need to use the auction method to drive up the price, which will save them a lot. Lin Sha nodded, go. I just want to buy some materials here to see. The location of the auction house is not too far from here, about 10 minutes away, and they arrived. The owner of the auction house is an old man with silver hair, but he is in good spirits. His body and bones look much tougher than normal people, and he has no hunchback at all. Abru explained her intentions to the boss, and the boss skillfully took out a set of books. It seemed that she often did business with people like Lin Sha and Harry. Lin Sha looked at the book in his hand and put it on the counter. Then he walked to the counter again, flipping through the books on the counter at will. The History of Chinese Wizards. Lin Sha saw the name of the book and took him off the counter. The book was very thick. He flipped through the book and opened the catalogue. Netherworld. There is one such name. Lin Sha was about to open it to take a look, but was pressed down by the boss. The boss said slowly, the book here, read the catalogue, but not the content. To see the content, you need to buy it. If someone wants to read this book with you, it only needs to be auctioned. Lin Sha looked around, there was no one in the store yet, he nodded, then I'll buy this book first. After he finished speaking, he didn't hesitate, walked to the counter and bought the book directly. After coming out of this auction house, Abru and Lin Sha Harry went shopping again. Harry basically didn't take anything, but Lin Sha, who was always there, came down and bought a lot of things. There is also a suitcase, which is a magic item. He is a small ball on his body. When the small ball is thrown on the ground, it will become an oversized suitcase, which can put a lot of things in it, which is very convenient. However, this suitcase is also the only thing they auctioned with others today. At that time, a pair of young people also took a fancy to this suitcase. As a last resort, Lin Sha auctioned it with them. In the end, he got the suitcase at a high price. Lin Sha, you shouldn't buy this, it's costing too much of our budget. We have to stay here for a long time, in case we come later. Harry looked at Lin Sha disapprovingly, and he didn't finish what he said, but Lin Sha knew, even Abru knew what he meant. Lin Sha smiled and said, don't worry so much. Don't worry. You won't be put on the street. Besides, we finally came here, and we don't know if we have a chance to come in the future. Haven't you thought about giving Luna, Hermione, Ronald, Fred and George, are they going back with some presents? And Sirius, if you don't bring him anything, you won't be afraid of him, and you won't forgive you. Lin Sha said to Harry with a smile. Even so, Harry decided not to let Lin Sha, spend any more, looked at Abru and said, Abru, we are almost done shopping, let's go back first. Okay, then let's go out first, I said you go back to the hotel. Abru fully respects their opinions. Lin Sha and Harry followed Abru to a place where there were fewer people, and it was the way they came when they came. Abru recited the formula, and then the door they had seen before appeared in front of him again. Let's go. We're going back. Abru entered first, with Lin Sha and Harry following behind him. After that, there was another whirlwind, and several people appeared in the corridor that they first entered. The dizziness back and forth is so painful. Harry said, covering his forehead. This is to protect the auction house. After all, many people there are very weak, and if there are people with bad intentions who want to enter, they have almost no ability to fight back. Umbridge said without hesitation. After Lin Sha and Harry's dizziness disappeared, Umbridge took them back to the previous hotel. After sending them to the door of the hotel, Umbridge said, "Okay, I'll take you here." "Okay, thank you." Lin Sha glanced at Umbridge thoughtfully, then said goodbye to him. "You're welcome, these are what I should do. Maybe, I may need your help in the future." Umbridge looked at them. "Then we are destined to see you next time," Umbridge said with a smile, and took out a hand-rolled silk thing from his pocket. Then she put the handkerchief flat in her hand and blew a breath. The handkerchief grew slowly, and when Umbridge sat on it, the handkerchief wrapped him, and then the handkerchief disappeared in the air. Lin Sha looked at Umbridge who was slowly disappearing, glanced at Harry, and returned to the hotel with Harry. Back in the hotel room, Lin Sha cast magic in the room to ensure that people outside the room would not hear their conversation. Harry said in shock at this moment, "Lin Sha, did we just enter China's Hogwarts?" Lin Sha said uncertainly, "It is true that most of the people there are wizards. However, whether it is Hogwarts or Azkaban, I don't think we can determine." "Azkaban? How is this possible?" Harry said in disbelief, "I didn't feel any black magic there, and there were no Dementors, no Death Eaters, how could it be Aziz? What about Kaban?" Lin Sha shook his head, "I don't know either, I just think that place is a bit strange." He reminded Harry that he must be vigilant at all times when facing him before he is uncertain about Umbridge's true identity. Harry, he also promised again and again that he would not act rashly. After he acted without authorization, Lin Sha didn't care about him anymore. He sat on the bed and took out the book, The History of Wizards of China, that he bought at the auction house today. Although he had seen the thickness of this book there before, at this time, Lin Sha had to sigh again when he took it out. This book is really thick. It's about the thickness of his two heads, and he still struggled to get it out of the suitcase. If someone told Lin Sha that this book was a weapon, he would definitely believe it. Duang duang. Lin Sha threw the book on the table at once, the table made a muffled sound, really, the water in the water glass on the table began to shake. Lin Sha sat at the table, put the water glass to his mouth, and blew the still steaming water to his mouth. Afterwards, Lin Sha opened the book, and after reading the catalogue, he directly turned to the part of the book that he was most interested in, Netherworld. The underworld has always been a legend in China, and no one has ever really faced his existence. However, in Chinese legends, the underworld controls all living beings in the world, determines the life cycle of living beings, determines the reincarnation of living beings, and at the same time decides whether living beings ascend to immortals, whether they are humans or even animals. The reason why Lin Sha is interested in this is because, in his opinion, if there are wizards in China, then the wizards are the closest place to Netherworld, because in any dynasty, in any place, practitioners are always closely related to Netherworld. Touch. Because at the end of the search, it is to try to obtain the law of immortality. Just like Voldemort, a man who had been dead for an unknown number of years, but survived at this time. Although he doesn't have his own body yet, if his spirit can survive and his soul can float in the world, he must have made a deal with Netherworld. Lin Sha flipped through the book, and the records in it were similar to what he had thought before. It is recorded in the book that the underworld does exist. However, the wizards in China have always had no connection with the underworld, because in ancient times, after the battle between the wizards in China and the underworld, the spiritual energy died out, and only the wizards in China survived. However, the grievances between the wizards of China and the underworld have been deep, so since then, the wizards of China have basically had no connection with the underworld, let alone cooperation. Lin Sha guessed that this is very likely that after the war, the underworld lost its vitality and simply disappeared into the world, unwilling to manage world affairs, and even more unwilling to have any intersection with the current magic world. However, there is no detailed record of that battle in the book. The book does not explain why there was that war, why the aura was wiped out in that war, and why only the wizard lineage could survive the war. However, it is said in the book that even now, the Netherworld still holds the divine artifact, the Book of Life and Death, that governs all living beings in the world. It is rumored that the Book of Life and Death can be used to view all the trajectories of everyone during their lifetime, according to the merits and demerits, and record not only the first life of this person, but it is very likely that it is the 9th life. The Life and Death book clearly records the date of each person's life and death, and the scope of the Life and Death book is very large. As long as the date is written, the deceased can die under any circumstances without causing the world's alarm. In this book, life and death are treated as artifacts. It is not so much an artifact, but a magic weapon that can control anyone, and its function is above all magic weapons. But so far, no one can manipulate the Book of Life and Death, and no one knows who wrote the things on the Book of Life and Death. No one will know how to revise the Book of Life and Death. In China's myths and legends, Journey to the West, when he was in trouble in the underworld, the Book of Life and Death found that he could live for more than 300 years, and he crossed his name from the Book of Life and Death. Since then, it will be immortal. However, this legend is always just a legend, a kind of expectation of the world for life. In reality, no one would go to the underworld like this, simply cross out his name and leave the underworld. Lin Sha then looked down and was a little surprised that he was in the underworld and saw the information about the Phoenix Dagger. According to the book, the Phoenix Dagger can be used to treat lost souls, which is why some people's souls can survive for thousands of years without being dissipated, because of the effect of the Phoenix Dagger. When that person has his last breath left, drop his blood on the Phoenix Dagger, and the dagger will nourish his blood and protect his soul. Crazy Dagger is a soul-raising item, it can only save people, not kill people. 0. Flowers. Lin Sha was surprised when he saw this. He never imagined that a small dagger he bought out of curiosity could have such great abilities and nourish the soul of a person. But to be honest, after this afternoon, she felt that her brain was much lighter than before, which was probably the benefit that the Phoenix Dagger brought him. I just don't know if he has any bonus effect on the magical world. Lin Sha continued to read the book again, and when he raised his head, Harlan had already fallen asleep beside him. Lin Sha thought about it and put the dagger on Harry's body. If the contents of the book are used to explain, Harry's body is now missing a soul, and that soul, for some reason, is attracted to Voldemort's body. So, Voldemort was able to see the world in Harry's eyes through Harry's eyes. And Voldemort had banned him, so Harry could only see what Voldemort wanted him to see belonged to Voldemort, and if Voldemort didn't want him to see, he wouldn't see anything. In the end, it's still too weak. If one day, Harry's strength surpassed Voldemort's, the current predicament would be completely gone. Lin Sha was reading the book and fell asleep on the table before he knew it. If someone wakes up at this time, they will be surprised that there is always a third person in their room, but no one can see him. The man had been standing behind the curtains from the very first moment they entered the room. After seeing that Lin Sha was asleep, he walked over. He put his hand on Lin Zhao's left wrist, pressed it for a while, and a snake-shaped mark appeared on Lin Zhao's left wrist. The person pressed it for a while, and the mark disappeared. He looked at Lin Sha, and finally jumped off the windowsill. Harry was woken up by a gust of cold wind, and when he saw Lin Sha sleeping on the table, he walked over and called him up. Boom! 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 Lin Sha and Harry were awakened by the sound of heavy objects falling to the ground. The heavy objects were so close that they really felt like they were in their room. Rubbing their eyes in a daze, Lin Sha and Harry got up and glanced at them, but they didn't see anything, don't turn over again, turned around and fell asleep. Boom! 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 Not long after falling asleep, the voice came again, closer than the previous voice, and the two were completely awakened. His face was very ugly, and he walked in the direction of the voice. Boom! 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 The two of them heard it now. The sound came from the direction of the window sill. Lin Sha asked Harry to stay where he was. He walked over, opened the curtain, and was about to look down when he found it on his window sill. Several, large ladybugs. Said to be the 7-star ladybug, 297, because its shape is basically the same as that of the 7-star ladybug, but it is much larger than the normal 7-star ladybug. Moreover, there are several of them on the ground. Lin Sha stared at the 7-star ladybugs, feeling a little familiar. Where did he see them? Lin Sha looked at it carefully again, and suddenly cursed, damn, isn't this the mummy ladybug? Harry asked behind him, Lin Sha, what is the mummy ladybug? The mummy ladybug 7-star, that is, after the ladybug died, to prevent his body from rotting, he took out all the internal organs, leaving only the body, and tied a bandage on his body, tightly stitched, leaving no gaps, that way his body can be preserved. Thinking of those scenes, Lin Sha shivered from the cold. Generally speaking, these things only appear in the place where mummies are made, which is Egypt. How can they come to their windows? Why do they come? Lin Sha was puzzled. A few 7-star ladybugs had a strong tendency to rush into the room. Lin Sha instantly closed the window and placed a ban on the window, so they could not enter for the time being. He didn't dare to open the window rashly, because he wasn't sure if the 7-star ladybugs had any attack power. And he didn't know if there were any other ladybugs. If the few on the windowsill were just forwards, then, once they were allowed in, there would always be countless ladybugs coming in. At that time, he and Harry would be separated from each other. Not even a hair was swallowed. Phoenix Dagger. Lin Sha thought about it. It must be because of the Phoenix Dagger. Lin Sha took the Phoenix Dagger in his hand from Harry's bed. Just in case, he still hid the Phoenix Dagger. The sound of heavy objects falling just now was not so few. I don't know how many mummified ladybugs crawling outside the window waiting for an opportunity. These signs all indicate that this matter is very strange, but at this moment, Lin Sha has no time to think about it, and can only defend against it. Lin Sha took out his original dagger. Harry watched Lin Zhao's movements and took out his magic wand, although he had no idea what was going on outside. Lin Sha moved too fast just now, he didn't see anything. Harry's magic wand glowed brightly. Turn off the lights, you are too eye-catching now. Lin Sha urged in a low voice. Mummy ladybug 7 stars, if they can't see the phoenix dagger, the first thing they see is light. They are photosensitive creatures, and now I don't know if they should be called creatures. Harry turned off the lights for no apparent reason, and the whole room was pitch black, which seemed much quieter and duller in the middle of the night. Lin Sha didn't care about the animals on the window sill. He walked quietly to the window, and put a bar on the window. People outside the window couldn't see the inside, but people inside could see the outside clearly. Lin Zhao's eyes looked downstairs through the window. He wanted to find out first whether the sound of boom was the sound of these 7-star ladybugs. Lin Sha took a closer look and almost fainted from fright. Just below this window, there was a coffin that was slowly rising, and just after giving birth for a while, it suddenly landed on the ground again. Make a boom sound. Lin Sha didn't have time to think about how these coffins appeared here, whether it was the mummy ladybug 7 stars or this coffin, everything was strange. Lin Sha remained vigilant. He didn't know if this was what Voldemort and the others were doing. Lin Sha squinted to look at the coffin, and found that there was nothing in the coffin. Lin Sha can be sure that there was something inside, but now the inside has escaped. What a hell. Lin Sha couldn't help scolding. Sure enough, coming to China was an impulsive decision. Nian. Lin Zhao's heart sank, but after all, such a strange thing has already happened, so he can only find a way to solve it. He immediately looked for the contents in the coffin. After all, he couldn't be naive. I believe that the reason for such a big battle was to throw such a broken empty coffin down, and looking at the empty coffin now, the upper coffin board was obviously pushed away from the inside. Lin Sha closed the curtain without acting rashly. He looked around. He couldn't do anything here. This was an inn, and there were guests around, although not necessarily all wizards, but at the very least, these things were for him and Harry, and he didn't want to give them to anyone else. Trouble. Lin Sha thought for a while, made a gesture with Harry, and went out from the door of the room, deciding to go downstairs to find a place where no one was there to see what was going on. After all, he was lying on his own window and came at him, so there was no need to involve everyone in the hotel. Except for the hotel, there was only a little dim starlight left outside at this time. It couldn't be said to be dark, and the 5 fingers were completely invisible, but it was only barely able to see a little bit of things. Lin Sha and Harry cautiously went down to the first floor, and there was no abnormality along the way. Walking outside the hotel, Lin Sha and Harry walked as close to the wall as possible, hiding their figures in the building. Up to now, they still don't know what the thing in the coffin is, and they also don't know where the other party is now. They are in the open and the enemy is in the dark. They walked outside on 1. 3. At this time, Lin Sha and Harry could clearly see the coffin they saw in the room before. The coffin was about 2.5 meters long, and there was something printed on the coffin board. Lin Sha squinted and looked at it, and found that the pattern of the phoenix was engraved on it, and there were many patterns of 7-star ladybugs around the phoenix. However, the distribution of 7-star ladybugs is very uneven. There are only a few 7-star ladybugs on one side, but there are more than 10 on the other side. No way, the mummy ladybugs on the windowsill have changed from the patterns on them, right? Lin Sha said with a smile. Lin Sha and Harry groped slowly and walked to a corner of the building. They leaned their backs against the wall and squatted down slowly to ensure that their baby would not be attacked. Moreover, the shadows in the place where they were hiding were relatively heavy. Those standing in the distance had to look very carefully before they found out that there was someone here. Lin Sha cautiously looked around, but never found the monster that came out of the coffin. He slowly put his eyes on the darker and darker place. No. No. Still no. As far as the eye can see, all the places are seen, but no shadow of the monster is seen. Lin Sha, did they leave without finding us? Harry said in a low voice after looking at it. No, Lin Sha shook his head firmly. Those mummies of 7-star ladybugs were specifically aimed at us. If we hadn't closed the windows in time just now, I'm afraid we would have been surrounded by them now. If they came for us, as long as 07 didn't find us, they would never leave. 5. Although Lin Sha was in the middle of the night, there were not many people who stayed up late. At this time, no one came out to check what was going on outside. This meant that these things were specifically aimed at them. And, more importantly, since they came to China, all kinds of strange things have happened one after another. He doesn't believe that what happened today has nothing to do with the Dementors they encountered on the train. From the moment they were on the train, everything was weird. Could it be? Lin Sha looked over his head. Is it over the head? Harry heard that, raised his head sharply, and looked above himself, but still found nothing. Lin Sha clenched the phoenix dagger and moved his position quietly. He didn't know where the Dementor was hiding. However, they have been in this place for a long time, and if they do not leave, their chances of being found will increase greatly. Lin Sha gestured to Harry. The two of them were still clinging to the wall and walking forward slowly. If they looked back at this time, they would find that they were getting farther and farther from the original hotel, which meant that, they are getting farther and farther away from the crowd. Slowly, they walked into an alley, but still found nothing. Lin Sha, Harry pointed to the only open unit building in the alley. Let's go up. Looking down from above, it might be clearer. Lin Sha nodded, and the two of them slowly and lightly walked up the roof. The roof is a rooftop, and when they reach the roof, there is nothing to block them. However, the two of them lowered their bodies, squatted halfway, and walked forward gently. When they reached the building, they looked down and didn't find it for a while. Lin Sha, look at the grass. Harry pointed to the grass between the hotel and the building. Lin Sha looked in the direction of his finger, and in the grass, the distance between the shadows and the light in other places was the same. Only one spot, between two adjacent grasses, was more shaded than elsewhere, and it was obvious that something was there. From the bushes, Lin Sha looked at the door of the hotel where they had just come out, and said, it stands to reason that from their point of view, if we come out, they will definitely see it. But why are they still there without any response? 99. Lin Sha and Harry kept staring at that position and did not act rashly. Because they still don't know what is there. Maybe, we should deal with the mummy ladybug first, Harry said after a shudder. Those things just now were so disgusting. If they don't find us, don't act rashly. I don't know if it's a Dementor or a Death Eater. It looks very pompous, and I'm afraid it's very powerful. Lin Sha shook his head and said, we may not be able to hit and win. Lin Sha sighed, it had been a long time since he was so aggrieved. While they were discussing countermeasures, they suddenly found a figure standing up at that position. Lin Sha guessed that he had been waiting there for too long and was a little impatient. So I decided to act. Lin Sha looked at the direction he was heading, which was the direction of the door of the hotel where he and Harry lived. Lin Sha. Harry exclaimed, if we don't go down, he's going to enter the hotel. 35. Lin Sha and Harry didn't hesitate any longer and flew directly from the upper floor to the first floor. Hey, here we are. 39. Harry yelled at the back of the Dementor when he got down. The Dementor heard the sound, stopped, turned around slowly, and ran towards them again. Lin Sha looked at this Dementor strangely. His speed was not fast, even slower than a normal person running. This speed is much worse than the speed of the Dementors sent by Voldemort before. When the Dementor ran closer, Lin Sha could see the Dementor clearly through the faint starlight. This Dementor is different from the Dementors I have seen before, or rather, it is partly different. His head was still the same as the Dementor he had seen before, but it didn't look like his. The first time he saw a Dementor with a beer belly. It is precisely because of this body that its speed is more than twice slower than other Dementors. Lin Sha looked at the Dementor, holding his beer belly, swaying, and when he was about to rush in front of them, Lin Sha suddenly felt that this guy was bluffing. 297. Not knowing their reaction, the Dementor, at some point in his hand, appeared a magic wand. The wand kept getting bigger and thicker, and it was half his height. It slammed hard on Lin Sha and Harry. Lin Sha dodged slightly to the left, dodging his attack. And that Dementor, because of inertia, almost fell. How can there be such a stupid Dementor? Harry couldn't help laughing at his clumsy appearance. Lin Sha looked at this Dementor seriously, and sure enough, it was almost as he imagined. The speed of this Dementor is incomparable with other mobile Dementors. Although it seems that his strength is amazing, it is actually not scary. Another hammer slammed down, Lin Sha and Harry easily dodged. But the Dementors, because of their dodging, slammed the wand to the ground, smashed a big hole, and made a loud noise. Lin Sha and Harry looked at the big pit, stunned and sweaty. Once attacked by this, even if you don't die, you will be seriously injured. But fortunately, avoiding this Dementor is not very difficult. Harry, now. Taking advantage of the Dementor, Lin Sha took out his original dagger and slid it towards his chest when he was competing with his wand. Using his wand, Harry cast a spell to remove his weapon. It's just that Lin Sha didn't have time. Dementor use, the hand without the wand blocked Lin Shao's attack. His hand was like golden armor, it collided with the dagger and made a loud noise, and took advantage of the situation and stuck the dagger in the gap between the two fingers. Lin Sha looked around, the sound of their battle was not small, but no one came out. No one even opened the window and looked down. What happened? Lin Sha couldn't help but think, could it be the same as Hogwarts? I don't know who can create a space anytime, anywhere, separate from the original space. If so, if they can't find this person, they can't get out of this space. But at this moment, the current situation cannot allow him to think too much. After the Dementor blocked his attack, the blue veins on his arms burst out, and he lifted the wand in an instant, then swung it down heavily and came towards his forehead. And his other hand, the one holding the dagger, was stuck between his two fingers, and there was no way to resist this attack. Phosphorus, accept your weapon. Fortunately, Harry was in time, the Dementor's wand fell from his hand, and Lin Sha let go of the hand holding the dagger, and stepped back with his feet, and was about half a meter away from the Dementor in an instant. Return! Lin Sha shouted loudly, the dagger turned by itself, slammed out between the gap between the Dementor's two thumbs, flipped one by one in the air, and returned to Lin Shao's hand. The Dementor reacted, taking back the wand that had just been thrown with one hand, raising it high, and slashing hard at Harry, who was rushing towards him. Without any hesitation, Lin Sha directly blocked the attack of the Dementor with the dagger, then lifted the dagger blade upwards and aimed it straight at his eyes. The Dementor didn't react, Lin Shao's dagger plunged straight into his eyes, but he suddenly realized that what sputtered out of his eyes was not blood, but a streak of blue liquid. Lin Sha, you stabbed him. Harry couldn't believe it, how could things go so smoothly? No. Lin Sha looked behind him suddenly, and sure enough, the Dementor appeared behind him at some point, and the one in front of him seemed to be just a stand-in. But it was too late at this time. I don't know when, the substitute actually grabbed his entire arm firmly, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free. Lin Sha. Harry kept using spells, but for some reason, these finally worked, this Dementor was completely useless. Lin Sha, being held tightly and unable to break free, the Dementor ran towards Harry, and the stand-in still held him firmly. Suddenly, a huge force hit the inside of his body along his back. Puff! Lin Sha couldn't dodge, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was instantly knocked away more than 10 meters away, and fell violently to the ground from midair. After landing on the ground, he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. He felt that the whole body was not his own, and the organs of the whole body seemed to be run over by a wheel, and he had a torn headache. His eyes were also blurred because of the heavy blow, and he seemed to be able to see small stars in the sky. Fuck, it hurts. Lin Sha couldn't help scolding. Here, Harry and the Dementor were still fighting. At this time, Lin Sha suddenly realized that the Dementor who was fighting Harry was not the sturdy Dementor with a beer belly that they had seen before. Strange, this Dementor was exactly the same as what they had seen before, with a sturdy body and agile speed. The Dementor walked towards Harry step by step, and without taking a step, she left a deep footprint left and right on the ground. Harry was a little desperate. You must know that although this street is not big, it is also a solid asphalt road. The other party just walked a few steps and left such deep footprints. What a terrifying force. No wonder Lin Sha would be thrown more than 10 meters all at once. Lin Sha couldn't help but think that with the strength just now, he was not beaten to death by a hammer, because he burned high incense in his previous life. Cough cough cough, Lin Sha couldn't help coughing. Hearing the sound, the Dementor stopped, turned around and walked towards Lin Sha again. Unlike before, he rushed in front of Lin Sha almost instantly, but it was strange that the Dementor did not attack him immediately. Just look at him as if looking at something novel. Lin Sha didn't know what he meant, and moved his body quietly, trying to keep himself away from him. Lin Sha stared at him tightly, and did not do anything else, for fear that he would accidentally anger the other party. After all, he is still injured, and he decided not to act rashly for the time being until he knew what his purpose was. The most important thing is that he found that Phoenix escaped the summer without knowing when, and secretly hid behind him. Lin Sha felt a soft warm wind coming from behind, and the next second, the pain in the place where he was injured before decreased and became more comfortable. His injuries are slowly getting better. Therefore, Lin Sha thought of a way in his heart, as long as he could hold back this Dementor, not arouse his alertness, and prevent him from attacking, his injury would gradually get better. He had underestimated the enemy just now, and when he was healed, this Dementor was no match for him at all. However, the idea is beautiful, the reality is skinny. The Dementor stared at him for a while, and after finding that he didn't respond, he directly raised his wand and threw it at his slave. Lin Sha was taken aback, his right arm was injured, and it was too late to use the ring, he couldn't dodge the opponent's attack at all, and she had absolutely no strength to dodge. Stop! Harry came out from behind him. Harry's wand slammed into the Dementor, but in the next instant, he was knocked out. It was the same as Lin Sha just now, only this time, Harry was injured more seriously, because he fell farther and the sound of landing was heavier. Damn it! I don't believe I explained this today. Lin Sha took advantage of this neutral position and used all his strength to leave the place just now, and now he is more than 10 meters away from the Dementor. Lin Sha angrily stared at the Dementor. Heh. A sneer came from his lowered mouth. The Dementor seemed to be irritated by his sneer, and waved the wand in his hand, raised it high, and smashed it directly into Lin Shao's head with the air being brought up. After Lin Shao sneered, facing the attack of the Dementor, he didn't react, and still kept his original posture. It's just you still want to beat me. Dream. Enraged by Lin Zhao's words, the Dementor kept waving the wand in his hand like crazy, leaving shadows in the air, as if he had launched countless attacks in an instant. The airflow caused by the wave made a low sound in the air, and Lin Shao grabbed his wand-wielding hand violently. The Dementor suddenly found himself unable to move, because his arms, feet, legs, and even his waist were all tightly grasped by Lin Shao. It was not one Lin Shao, but countless, real Lins. Shao is not the same as his stand-in just now. His stand-in just now was more than 10 times weaker than him, but now Lin Shao is exactly the same as himself. The Dementor tried to work harder, trying to get rid of Lin Zhao's restraint, but it was unsuccessful. After that, he tried harder and harder, the blue veins on his arms burst out, the huge muscle group bulged, and dense sweat gradually appeared on it, and his expression changed. He groaned, and there was cold sweat on his forehead. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free of Lin Shao. There were countless Lin Shaos. 297. Don't you like to use stand-ins? I'll show you what a real stand-in is. Lin Shao said through gritted teeth. Then Lin Shao pulled the wand from the Dementor's hand with force. Lin Shao was not as relaxed as it seemed before. He felt that his brain couldn't control his emotions and actions. This feeling was like after drinking white wine, he was able to know exactly what he was doing and what he was doing. What are you doing, but you can't control it, can you just wake up a little and let yourself know what you are doing? It was like a soul out of body, standing beside him watching all his movements. These are a bit strange, but he didn't think much about it, commanding the stand-in who was still on the Dementor, all the power concentrated on his throat, tightly holding the opponent's throat. The Dementor struggled with all his strength, but to no avail. Soon, blue veins burst out on his entire head, his eyeballs protruded, and blood leaked out continuously. Gradually, Lin Shao could feel the Dementor. Without strength, his legs could no longer support him to stand up, he fell to the ground and slowly closed his eyes. It was at this time that, flapping. Abbed. It was the sound of several 7-star ladybugs, flapping their wings. Lin Shao looked towards the source of the sound, and a dense mass of mummified 7-star ladybugs flew towards him. It was the previous mummy 7-star ladybugs. Without any hesitation, Lin Shao grabbed the Dementor's throat even harder, and then the Dementor's neck slanted 90 degrees. With a bang, the Dementor suddenly fell to the ground. Lin Shao clapped his hands in disdain, didn't care about the defeated general, and looked even more impatiently at these disgusting mummy ladybugs who were about to come. These, in Lin Zhao's view, are barely considered minor minions. However, Lin Shao thought in his heart that these mummified ladybugs are different from the Dementors just now. Even if they are killed, they will come back to life because they have no soul. Then, the only way to make them disappear is to wipe out ashes. Lin Shao recited the incantation in his heart, then the wand appeared in his hand, and there were flames burning around the wand. Lin Shao, controlling these flames, flew in the direction of the mummy ladybug. It was just an instant, those 7-star ladybugs were completely shrouded in flames, and disappeared without a trace in the next second. Lin Shao looked at the ground with some panting, except for a huge chinkan. There were footprints 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow, proving what happened just now, and all the remaining traces, including the Dementor, were all in an instant. Disappeared without a trace. After all the dust settled, Lin Zhao's standing body shook uncontrollably twice, and he fell weakly to the ground, with both hands beside him, trying to support himself, not letting himself fall down completely. Lin Shao was panting heavily, and the dense beads of sweat fell to the ground along his hair, and soon, the grass below him became damp. Damn, I used up too much just now. Lin Shao couldn't help scolding. After resting like this for 4 or 5 minutes, he felt that his body's strength was slowly recovering. He supported his body with both hands, stood up slowly, walked to Harry's side, who had been unconscious, pulled him up, and returned. Room. After returning to the room, Lin Shao was not sleepy. He didn't know what was going on with all this. Who was the person behind it? Attacking him and Harry time and time again, what was he trying to do? So far, he has no way of explaining all this. If it is said that Voldemort's power has penetrated into China, and has penetrated to this point, he does not believe it by any means. After all, he knew very well that Voldemort's power over the years would not be easy to deal with Hogwarts. If he had so much power in China, then Voldemort would have occupied Hogwarts long ago and commanded the entire magical world. But if it wasn't Voldemort, who was watching them all the time? And for what purpose? Except at Hogwarts, he and Harry weren't important enough to be hunted down to the point of being hunted down. Could this person come from Hogwarts? If he's the Hogwarts wizard, why are you doing this to them? Lin Sha sighed, he really couldn't figure it out anyway. Lin Sha got up from the bed, looked at the special session just now, made sure there was no clue to correct them, and then lay down at ease. Lin Sha slowly closed his eyes, and after a while, there was a slight snoring sound in the room. At this time, the Phoenix dagger suddenly flew over from somewhere, enveloped above Lin Sha and Harry, emitting a faint light. When Lin Sha and Harry woke up again, it was noon the next day. They got up from the bed, and both of them felt like they were falling apart. Harry rubbed his shoulders and said strangely, "We were supposed to be fighting last night, right? I remember I was injured, but why can't I feel any pain now? Was it all a dream?" Lin Sha shook her head, she knew the wounds on the two of them, probably the Phoenix dagger healed them when they were asleep. Hearing Harry's words, Lin Sha immediately looked towards yesterday's battlefield, he remembered that there was a big hole in the ground yesterday. But looking at it now, there is nothing left, the ground is flat, and even the pits that the Dementors stepped on are gone. Lin Sha and Harry stayed at the hotel for another 2 days, and when no other strange things happened, Lin Sha and Harry decided to leave here and go to the next destination. Before the two left, they went to find a bro. "If you want to find China's wizards, I can direct you to a place, that place, China's Hogwarts." Umbridge seemed to have known their purpose for a long time, and said this to them when they parted. Lin Sha and Harry glanced at each other and understood each other's meaning. They wanted to change their original plans and go to Umbridge where they wanted them to go. They all know that there are too many mysteries in Umbridge's body, and if they go to that place, maybe they can find some answers. Umbridge put them in a car and looked outside, but it was just an ordinary bus. But when I got into the car, I realized that there was a big difference. From the outside, the glass of the car is mirrored, and the scene inside cannot be seen, but the interior of this car is amazingly large, and the space inside the car is completely out of proportion to the size seen from the outside. After they got into the car, their wish found that the car was densely packed with people, including teenagers and young people, chatting and arguing. Lin Sha was a little surprised, he was outside just before getting into the car, but he couldn't hear any sound. Now that I think about it, the interior of the car should have been reloaded with some kind of space magic, at least for now at Hogwarts, that he hadn't seen before. "You can find any place to sit." There was a manager who looked like this car behind them, standing behind them, and said to them. The two nodded, looked into the car, and wanted to find them. They sat down in 2 adjacent places, and they didn't want to communicate with others. After all, they are not sure whether other people in this car are friends or foes. Later, they were in the penultimate row and found a seat by the window, but there was a person sitting next to them. "Hello, can you let me down, we want to sit inside." Lin Sha said to the man sitting in the aisle. "It's okay, go in." After the man heard their words, he stood up and made room for them. "Okay, thank you." Lin Sha walked over first and sat by the window, Harry sat down beside her. Then the two thanked the man, then stopped communicating and looked out the window. Lin Sha found that the glass windows of this car are single mirror. Although it is another space magic, they can still see the outside scenery from the inside. After watching for a while, he leaned his entire body on the seat, ready to sleep with his eyes closed for a while. After all, according to what Umbridge said, it would take some time for them to reach their destination. However, hope is beautiful, and reality is skinny. The man sitting next to them said, "How did you know that place? Did you have parents from the wizarding world?" The man pointed to those sitting in front and said, "Just like them." It was only then that Lin Sha noticed that the car was clearly divided into different groups, and he understood in an instant. No matter at any time, it is an unavoidable probability for the same kind to group together. Obviously, the car was divided into 3 groups, and some of them were parents from the magic world. Obviously, they seemed to be in a higher position, and their expressions were more arrogant, proud of their pure blood from the magic world. The second step is mixed blood, that is, one of the parents is from the magic world, and the other is an ordinary person. They consider themselves arrogant, ignore those who despise them, and do not leave them, those who despise them. The third step is just like the man next to them, just an ordinary person who accidentally knew the existence of the magic world, and then came here to learn magic and become a person in the magic world. Lin Sha and Harry shook their heads. These were the rest of their play. As long as those people don't come to provoke them, they keep a low profile as much as possible and don't want to do anything here. Hey, did you hear me? The man was clearly dissatisfied. Lin Sha and Harry ignored him and said unhappily. Oh, we've all learned it before. Lin Sha said perfunctorily. No wonder, so arrogant, Che, you don't want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to you. The man suddenly said childishly. Only then did Lin Sha look at the man next to him. This man looked like he was in his 20s, but his actions gave him the feeling of being a primary school student. Just like just now, he desperately wanted to get other people's attention. After being ignored, he was sulking there alone. 0. Flowers. However, Lin Sha didn't plan to continue the conversation with him. Anyway, he and Harry just came to see, and then by the way to see if they could solve the mystery of this period of time, and didn't plan to leave any grudges and entanglements here. It's best that they keep a low profile enough that they don't let Hogwarts, or Dumbledore, find out that he and Harry have come to China. Lin Sha took out the thick book from the suitcase and read it. The History of Wizards in China? What book is this? Why have I never heard of it? The man leaned over again, past Harry, and looked at Lin Xiao's book and asked. Lin Xiao didn't want to pay attention to this familiar, but he couldn't bear the question, so he had to answer, I bought it at the auction house. If you are interested in the history of wizards in China, you can also buy a copy. Later, Lin Xiao realized that talking to that man was a wrong decision. Because in the next time, regardless of whether he and Harry paid attention to the man, he would always talk to them perseveringly. During the time in the car, Lin Xiao didn't read a word. The ears were chattering and chattering non-stop. Come over for a while, the one just now, the manager of this car, stood at the front. We'll be arriving soon, and I know some people in this car are riding in this car for the first time today, so there are a few things and caveats that I'll reiterate. The manager of this car, he did not speak very loudly, but the voice surrounded the interior of the entire car, so that everyone could hear it clearly, as if the sound was coming from all directions. As soon as he spoke, the interior of the car fell silent. Lin Xiao thought, it seems that the status of that person in this is still quite high. Cough cough. He cleared his throat, then opened his mouth and said, next, don't panic when you see anything outside the window, try not to yell, all this is normal. Also, when you arrive at your destination, don't be in a hurry. Get off one by one from the front to the back in order. If someone is confused and causes bad things, then you can't blame me. The administrator said slowly, and he pointed to the front door. At this time, Lin Xiao discovered that there was only one door on the car, and there was no rear door. After the administrator finished speaking, he sat down next to the driver's seat of the car. His position was sideways, so that he could pay attention to the situation in the car at any time. At this time, Lin Xiao looked at the situation outside the car. He suddenly realized that the car slammed into a wall. Lin Xiao and Harry subconsciously tightened their seatbelts. Most of the people in the car were the same as them. Lin Xiao stared at the big glass in front of the car, but he didn't feel that. 297. This is also the same principle, people can directly pass through the wall. But soon, he discovered that his imagination was not right, or not entirely so. The car not only passed through a wall, but after passing through another wall, it passed through another wall. Then this is not the reason of the wall, but the car itself can shuttle between objects. Lin Xiao looked out the window, and he was a little surprised that the car naturally got into the ground slowly, from the front to the rear. The crowd on the street didn't seem to be able to see the car and didn't react. Gradually, it was pitch black from the outside. He was clinging to the car window, and he couldn't see anything clearly. He couldn't see anything. Objects that can only occasionally drift past the window, it can be concluded that the speed of this car is not slow. As the car slowly deepened, the lights suddenly turned on outside, and the people in the car could see the scenery outside the car window, but obviously there was no good scenery. Yeah. I just saw a snake, what a big one. Lin Xiao followed the sound and saw nothing, mainly because the speed of the car was too fast. Lin Xiao thought to himself that it was a little bigger than an ordinary snake, but just sitting in this car, Lin Xiao was suddenly very interested in the destination of this car. This kind of interest exceeds the interest in investigating the previous things. Where will such a magical vehicle take them? No matter where it is, there is one thing Lin Xiao can be sure of, that is this destination, and it must be China. Wizarding world. Lin Xiao couldn't help but have some imaginations about this world. In the wizarding world of China, there should be no more black magic like Voldemort, right? In the wizarding world of China, the power of Voldemort, who has been monitoring them, should also be disappear. Thinking of this, Lin Sha put his hands on the back of his head, his whole body slumped on the seat, and he felt that he had rarely felt relaxed during this journey. Touch! 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 3 loud noises interrupted Lin Zhao's thoughts. Buckle. The seat belt on his body was originally a little loose, but because of these 3 loud noises, it became tense in an instant, and he was almost tired so quickly that he couldn't breathe. He found that his whole body was imprisoned on the seat, unable to move. He still hadn't figured out what was going on, when the vehicle suddenly vibrated violently. Lin Sha looked up at the place where the sound was made, the top of the car. I saw that the top of the car did not know when a large piece had been dented in. Fortunately, the quality of this car was not generally good. With such a strong collision, the top was only dented in, and it did not break. However, judging from the depression of the car, it should have been attacked by some kind of large object. Lin Sha looked out the window, and sure enough, the lights outside the window had gone out, and it was blocked by a large, unknown object. From Lin Zhao's position, he could still see that the object outside was a pattern on his body. He endured it. I can't help but remember that someone in the car said, "What a big snake." 35. Lin Sha took a closer look, and it was indeed very similar, except that the snake was obviously bigger and fouled. The car stopped at an unknown time. Lin Sha loosened the seatbelt on his body and was not tied so tightly. But still unable to move freely, Lin Sha barely supported himself and half stood up. He found that almost all the windows of the car were blocked by the body of the big snake. Seeing this, Lin Zhao's heart sank a little. No need to think that the snake had already surrounded the whole car. Lin Sha can even imagine the scene outside the car now. The whole car was entangled by a big and thick snake, which was entangled in circles. Lin Sha just started to be a little worried. Before, he thought it was a snake that was bigger than an ordinary snake at most, but he just didn't expect that it would reach this level. He looked at the administrator sitting in front. He wasn't sure. Can that admin deal with it? 0. Don't worry, passengers, I found that we seem to have encountered a guest who is not very friendly. I will meet him. You should not move around in the car, and do your best. From all directions in the car, the voice of the administrator could be heard. Lin Sha kept a half-standing posture and looked at the manager's position. He saw that the manager didn't know what to say to the driver, and the driver nodded to her. Then the driver touched the steering wheel. The distance was too far. Lin Sha couldn't see what he was doing at all, only vaguely saw that he seemed to be pressing something. Then, the wagon above the administrator's seat was opened, but strangely, the snake outside was not found. Then Lin Sha saw that the administrator took out his wand, muttering something in his mouth, and then a pale white circle surrounded him. Gradually, the white circle became more and more intense, and then, Lin Sha couldn't see the administrator anymore. With the disappearance of the administrator, the wagon that was just opened has returned to normal at this time. Would you like to see, how did that old man deal with impolite guests? The driver's voice suddenly appeared, and you felt it came from all directions. Think. Of course I do. I want to see, what exactly is outside. The people in the car chirped and answered 1. 3, okay, then I'll show you guys. After a while, the top of the car will become transparent. You don't have to panic, it won't be dangerous, just watch it. The driver was clearly confident in the manager, and there was no panic or nervousness in his tone. Lin Sha was originally a little worried, but when he heard the driver say that, he was relieved. Lin Sha, look. Harry pointed to the top of his head and saw that the top of the car slowly changed color, from the original black to transparent, and after a while, they could really see the outside scene. This time, he was finally able to see the whole picture of the snake. The snake was right above him. Lin Sha saw even his most terrifying teeth. It was only then that he discovered that the place that had been dented before was this snake, and it struck it with its head. Because of being directly above him, Lin Sha was even able to directly see the saliva that was continuously secreted from the snake's mouth. At this moment, Lin Sha had to be thankful. Fortunately, the saliva of this snake did not have the corrosion function he imagined. Otherwise, the roof of this car would have been corroded long ago. He didn't want to experience that kind of corrosion. The feeling of being corroded by saliva. I'm going. This monster is so big. What kind of snake is this? Primitive? How long has it been around? 35. When the people in the car saw the snake above their heads, they were instantly pale with fright. Can't blame them for being timid, mainly because the snake is really big, and on the other hand, his teeth are really disgusting. At this time, his mouth was opening slightly. Lin Sha could see that its 07 teeth were densely packed and there were some small sharp teeth. Lin Sha estimated that this scene could be used as the horror point of a horror movie. The sharp teeth in this snake's mouth were all turned outward. At this time, his teeth were facing the top of his head, hitting the roof of the car from time to time. Lin Sha was able to see the sharp cold light on the sharp teeth. Lin Sha was once again fortunate that the quality of this car was really good, and the snake's teeth were not corrosive. The car was constantly hit by such sharp teeth, without the slightest crack. In fact, in the car, you can't hear or feel any impact. Lin Sha crossed over the snake and kept looking for the manager's location. Since the manager disappeared in the car, he has never appeared again. I saw that a white light appeared diagonally above the snake's head, stopped above it, and stayed there, without any intention of attacking him immediately. Lin Sha didn't quite understand what the administrator wanted to do. Moreover, Lin Sha noticed that the administrator's wand was no longer in his hands. He was uncertain at the moment. What did he do when the administrator disappeared? Suddenly, this set of white light became more intense, even a little dazzling. Lin Sha took out his hand, covered his eyes, and looked through the gap between his two fingers. This is... Lin Sha didn't know what happened, and was a little curious. Squeak. From the white light, from the inside to the outside, a laser beam was emitted, which went straight to the snake's head. For a moment, Lin Sha couldn't see anything, and there was only a white patch above his head. He had to close his eyes, and when he opened them, the light had already dissipated. Lin Sha rubbed his sore eyes and got on the roof of the car. At this time, the snake had fallen on the roof of the car, and Lin Sha could clearly see the head of the tower. A hole the size of a fist was poked out of the snake's head. It was obviously hit by the laser. At this time, its head was still steaming out, like it was almost cooked, and the meat on the edge of the hole was turned out. Lin Sha almost vomited. This scene was really disgusting. After this blow, the snake's entire body stopped moving, and was directly paralyzed there. After a while, her whole body was no longer circling the car, but twitched and rolled on the top of the car. Woo! Woo! Lin Sha, they even heard the scream of the snake in the car. Generally speaking, there are no pain nerves, only perception. But this snake does not know how many years it has survived in this world, and it has evolved pain nerves. But even if pain nerves have evolved, generally speaking, they are much slower than the nerves of other creatures. Just like this kind of attack, after he suffered this kind of heavy damage, it took a while to react, which means that its pain nerves are not sensitive. I don't know if it was hitting the body to relieve his pain. The snake hit the car more violently than before. But soon, the administrators responded. Lin Sha couldn't see what he did, all his movements were inside the mask, he basically couldn't see it. He only saw a ray of light and inserted into the snake's head again, but after inserting into his head this time, it did not stop, but went straight forward and continued to penetrate deeply into the snake's body. Turned a corner and plugged in again. In a short while, this white light has been inserted into the snake's body several times, and the speed is so fast that Lin Sha feels dizzy when he sees it. The snake had no ability to respond to Bai Guang's attack. Since Bai Guang started attacking him, the snake stopped moving and became stiff. Afterwards, the white light came out of the snake's body, and at this moment, the whole body, he said, suddenly burst open, turning into pieces of snake meat on the roof of the car. When all the snakes exploded, Lin Sha saw their location clearly. They are now, very close to the ground. And because of the battle just now, the place where the snake's entire body was, collapsed. If there is a landslide, and it is a large-scale landslide, they are so close to the ground, it is simply inevitable. Fortunately, the driver also discovered this and drove the car without any hesitation. The car instantly left the place and headed towards these upper directions. It didn't take long for the car to return to the ground. After returning to the ground, the driver did not stop, but continued to drive forward for a period of time, and then stopped after confirming that it was really safe. Lin Sha kept looking at the driver and found that he didn't stop the operation even after the car stopped, and kept pressing the things on the driver's seat with both hands. Lin Sha looked down and found that the administrator was still fighting. The snakes that were blown up just now gathered together again at some point, and launched a new round of attacks on the administrators who were still below. Lin Sha deliberately looked at the snake's head. It was no different from the beginning. It was still the same sharp teeth, and there was a cold light on the teeth. What kind of monster is this guy? Lin Sha couldn't help but exclaimed, and the white light on the manager's body was much weaker than before. It was obviously the battle just now, but it actually cost him a lot of energy. Lin Sha couldn't help but be a little worried. When he took a closer look, he found that this snake was not exactly the same as before. At least, he is now smaller than before, but more than a little bit. This snake has the ability to regenerate and reorganize, and his recovery speed is also amazing. As long as this snake is not completely turned into powder, he will continue to regenerate. Lin Sha groped in thought. To completely defeat this snake, you still have to find a way to kill it in one go, and then turn it into powder. This is really a bit difficult. It seems that this battle is much more difficult than previously imagined. The snake rushed over like an administrator, and the administrator did not stand on the spot and was beaten passively, but avoided the snake's attack super fast. However, in terms of speed, the manager was still slightly inferior to Zhe, and soon the snake caught up with him. Ah! The snake let out a huge roar, opened its teeth, and the sharp teeth were constantly surging outwards, and the saliva it secreted was still on it. The moment he approached the administrator, he opened his mouth wide, as if he could swallow the administrator whole in the next instant. Danger! This is terrible. Who among you can save him? The wizard in the car, looking at this situation, couldn't sit still any longer. Some people are scared, some people are angry, some people scream. But no one moved, they were all dumbfounded, watching the battle below. Lin Sha ignored the noise in the car and looked at the snake's figure thoughtfully. It's not that he didn't save it, but that he couldn't get out of the car at all, and to put it back 10,000 steps, he didn't believe that the administrator would be defeated so easily. Harry pulled Lin Xiao's arm nervously. Lin Xiao, he'll be fine, right? It was as if he was asking Lin Xiao for a definite answer. But in the next second, the administrator in the tube inside the snake gave him the answer. A red light suddenly appeared in the place where the white light had been exposed, and it was more dazzling than the white light just now. Lin Xiao had to cover his eyes again. After a while, about 3 or 5 seconds, Lin Xiao felt the light outside gradually dimmed, and opened his eyes. As the light completely dimmed, a loud explosion sounded. Lin Xiao looked in the direction of the source of the sound. The original piece of ground had long since disappeared, and a huge deep pit appeared, more than 10 meters away, and black smoke was still rising from the top of the deep pit. Lin Xiao was taken aback. She didn't know what kind of magic could cause such huge damage, at least he had never seen it at Hogwarts. Lin Xiao looked in the direction of the fight just now, and there was a desire in his eyes. That is the desire for strength, the desire for strength. He suddenly wanted to stay here and get this kind of power. Harry did the same, grabbing Lin Xiao's arm tightly, and at that moment, he wished that the person who had this kind of power was himself. When he came back to his senses, the administrator had already returned to the car. The white light around him has disappeared without a trace, and he is slightly out of breath while sitting. Lin Xiao thought to himself, it seems that this battle is much more difficult and dangerous than the managers and drivers had imagined. Lin Xiao looked at the administrator like this, because he noticed that the administrator's eyes were glowing with blue light, and those blue eyes glowed with light, and then dimmed. When Lin Xiao looked over again, the administrator's eyes had returned to normal. It seemed that the scene just now was just his illusion. The administrator looked around, and Lin Xiao followed her line of sight. There was no danger in the surroundings. It was just because of the explosion just now that some of the snake's flesh was stuck after the explosion. In the car, it looked even worse. But that's fine, at least it proves that the snake is completely dead. Okay. Let's meet our big hero. The driver stood up from his seat and waved to the passengers behind, and then the window opened. Wow, what power is that? It's so powerful. Will I become so strong in the future? I will definitely be stronger than him in the future. The voices in the car came and went. At this time, Lin Xiao realized that most of the people in the car were young people like him, or students, at least in the stage of learning magic. Just now, the manager's first hand, it's really pretty. Lin Xiao found that many people in the car had been attracted to him, convinced him, and became his little fanboys. Okay, everyone sit down. The administrator still smiled as always. He stretched out his hands and pressed down. The car instantly returned to silence, and everyone was waiting for his speech. Okay, the rude guests have been driven away, and we can move on. The administrator looked at the wizards who had quieted around and said. But after this incident, I believe you already know that the magical world is not as safe as you think, and danger is around you anytime, anywhere. He suddenly became serious, his eyes glowing with dim light. The people sitting in this car are all talented people in the magical world. Compared with many people, you have already occupied the advantage on the starting line. I can tell you for sure that your current achievements may be many. People can't reach it in a lifetime. However, this is far from enough. Those who are capable often need to take on greater responsibilities. I hope that each of you can take up the part of the responsibility that you should take, so that you won't be responsible for your life in this world. When the administrator said this, he didn't know, suddenly thought of something, and looked a little dazed. He paused for a while, and his voice came from all directions in the car. I know, some of you are from China, some are not, but you come here from all over the world, and you always have your own mission. I hope you can do your best to complete your mission. Today, what you see is that I keep the danger out and shield you from the wind and rain. But one day in the future, you will become who I am today, shielding others from the wind and rain. Before that, I only had two in a word. I want to say, first, become stronger, try your best to become stronger. Second, live, try your best to survive. Speaking of which, the administrator's mood was obviously a little excited. But inside the car, you could hear each other's breathing quietly, and everyone was taught a vivid lesson at this moment. For many years to come, when the people in this car gathered, what they wanted to discuss most was all the things that happened in this car. In this car, there was a person who used their practical actions are a vivid lesson for them. When the door closed, the driver restarted the car, and the vehicle slowly drove forward. The people in the group recovered from the scene just now, and they gathered together to chat, and even the small group that was particularly distinct at this moment dissipated a lot. On the next road, nothing unexpected happened. Lin Sha found that the car did not continue to drive in the soil, but directly shuttled in the air. The people on the ground did not notice the car in the air, as if they were not in the same space. Lin Sha couldn't help but think, can this car really create a different space? But it doesn't seem to be, just like when they were in the hotel, they suddenly entered a space. In that space, no matter what happened, the world will not react at all. The battle just now was also, when they left, the real world returned to its original state. He couldn't explain this phenomenon with all the conditions at Hogwarts. He didn't quite understand. Is this something special in China or artificial? But he knew that all the answers would be found in the car's destination. But anyway, judging from the current situation, this kind of special is actually a good thing. At least it can be guaranteed that no matter what happens, it will not affect people who have nothing to do with the magical world. Lin Sha couldn't help but think that in China, the work of the Ministry of Magic's Regulatory Committee is really easy. For ordinary people in China, they may never see a wizarding world war in their entire life, which is a good thing in the long run. Lin Sha looked out the window and didn't think about anything. After all, this was different from his experience of flying in the air. Now he is completely like a spectator, looking at the world with all kinds of strange things. After watching it for a while, I fell asleep unconsciously. I don't know how long I slept. Lin Sha 297 was suddenly woken up by Harry, who was sitting beside him. Lin Sha, don't sleep, look, where are we going? Harry said to him excitedly, shaking his body constantly. How long have I slept? Where have we been? Lin Sha asked. It's estimated to be about an hour. I don't know where we are now. Look out the window. Lin Sha looked out the window and found that they had passed through the clouds and even the atmosphere. At this time, the car was driving forward continuously in the atmosphere, without any intention of stopping, and then slammed down. Rushing. What? The strong sense of weightlessness made many people scream. In the end, the car did not stop on the ground, and continued to descend. After a while, they were directly introduced into the groundwater, and they rushed down a distance of 400 or 500 meters before the car slowly lowered its speed. At this time, they were completely immersed in Wangyang, and the car continued to go down, but the speed was not as fast as before. Lin Sha, look. Harry shook Lin Sha vigorously. Without Harry's reminder, Lin Sha also looked out the window. Wow, there are fish outside. What kind of fish is this? The scales on the body are so bright. Look, there's a group ahead. Many people in the car, who had never seen the sea before, couldn't help but get excited when they saw such a scene. You have 10 minutes now to see the underwater scenery, and 10 minutes from now, you won't be able to see anything. 35. The driver spoke in front. After hearing the driver's words, everyone clung to the windows in the car and looked at the scenery outside. After all, it was a rare experience for them. At this time, the driver stopped the car, leaned his hands on the back seat, leaned on the car, and changed to a comfortable position. Lin Sha looked towards him and the manager. Although there was chatter in the car, Lin Sha could still hear the conversation between him and the manager. The consumption just now is not small, you have to go back and support it for a while, right? Isn't it impossible? You know, dealing with such large-scale dementors has never been my specialty, and you have seen the repairing power of that snake. I hate this type of disgusting the most. The manager said helplessly. However, I always feel that the appearance of dementors this time is a bit strange. There have been dementors in the past, but compared with today's, it is not an order of magnitude. Moreover, I found that he seemed to be caught by something. Intentionally brought here. The manager had a bit of seriousness on his body, and then looked at the group of teenagers outside the car. When they have seen enough, let's go quickly, and if we delay any longer, I'm afraid that the night will be long and dreamy. 99. Okay. I'll listen to you. Thanks to you this time, otherwise, people in this car really don't know what to do. The driver nodded, turned his head to look in front of the car, and could only look forward to the rest of the road, so that nothing could go wrong. He has been driving this car for decades. It is not the first time he has encountered a Dementor, but it is the first time he has encountered such a tragic Dementor. It is false to say that he is not worried. The administrator was not talking, and lowered his head slightly, not knowing what he was thinking. Lin Sha was a little suspicious when he heard their conversation. For some reason, he always felt that today's Dementor was aimed at him and Harry. And he has a hunch that there will be trouble later, but he doesn't know whether the administrator will have energy later. 10 minutes later, the driver started the car, and sure enough, this time, the car was running at the fastest speed. Because of the sudden acceleration, the people in the car felt uncomfortable, and some were reluctant to part with it. Why do you drive so fast? I haven't seen enough yet. Yeah, I haven't seen enough, why don't you stop for a while? I just saw a fish that I've never seen before, and I just wanted to take a serious look. Harry said beside him, I've never seen such a beautiful sea. Don't frown, don't forget, the snake just now may be coming at us. If we arrive at our destination earlier, we may be able to be safe earlier. Lin Sha is in the same mentality as the administrator now, and just wants to get there quickly. You mean, the snake that big just now came at us? Why? Harry asked in disbelief. But almost instantly, he agreed with Lin Zhao's words, after all, the way they came to China has always been unstable. Okay, you don't have to worry too much, as long as we don't go out, nothing should happen. Lin Sha comforted. That's right, let's hurry up. Harry said after a while in fear. To be honest, after sitting in the car for so long, Lin Sha still sighed at the speed of the car, and his eyes could no longer see the surrounding situation. This kind of speed brought her a sense of beauty that speed brought him to the limit. And he enjoyed this kind of beauty. At the super-fast speed, he gradually closed his eyes and let his body feel the speed. He found that his heart slowly calmed down, the original panic, worry, at such a speed, all disappear without a trace. When he came back to his senses, he found that the car had been parked in the deep sea, motionless. Lin Sha looked around and found that everyone around had already fallen asleep. At first, she didn't find it strange, but later he found that the driver in the car had already fallen asleep, and his head was resting on the steering wheel, motionless. And the administrator who was sitting next to him also disappeared at this time. What's the situation? Lin Sha cursed, he shook and Harry sat next to him, but Harry didn't respond. This situation seemed familiar, similar to the time they were on the train. Lin Sha couldn't help scolding angrily, damn, there's no end to it. Although I don't know how that thing got here, it's clear that if it's those things on the train, it's obviously aimed at him and Harry, and the saddest thing is that Harry is now in a coma. Lin Sha thought about it for a long time, but he still couldn't figure out who he had such a big hatred with, so persevering and chasing after him. If it was Voldemort, he definitely didn't believe that if Voldemort had this power, if he had this power, he would have left Hogwarts long ago and wiped out Dumbledore and the others, how could they still be here now? But if it wasn't Voldemort, why were those people chasing him? What did they want? Was there anything in him or in Harry that was worth their coveting? Phoenix Dagger. Lin Sha could only summon the Phoenix Dagger first and let him transmit energy to Harry, hoping this would make Harry wake up sooner. Following his call, the Phoenix Dagger began to glow blue and dim light. In a blink of an eye, it flew into the air, flew towards Harry's chest, and stopped near his chest, sending its own blue light to Harry. On the body. Lin Sha pushed Harry again, no matter how hard he tried, Harry didn't respond, and he was even more worried. It seemed that the situation this time was much more serious than last time. Harry has become like this, and he doesn't have to bother calling anyone else. Lin Sha began to carefully observe the situation around him, is this psychedelic by a spell or? Lin Sha thought about it seriously, but soon he overturned the possibility of the spell, no matter how powerful China's wizards were, there should be no one who could knock the whole car unconscious without making a sound. Magic is a one-to-one spell, it can only be used on a specific person, but it cannot be used on a specific group of people. If the other party had such an ability, these people in the car would have lost their breath long ago, how could they wait until he wakes up? Excluding the spell, then there is only one possibility left. Whether it was on the train before or this time, it should have entered the hyperplasia space. Although I don't know what this space is for, this space can make everyone unconscious. Awake. But if that's the case, where did the administrator go? Why didn't he fall asleep? He should have found out long ago, so why is he gone now? Lin Sha felt that the most urgent task was to find the disappeared administrator first. After all, he had already experienced that administrator's combat ability before. If the other party still came with a group of people this time, he might not be able to fight. Thinking of this, Lin Sha, without ink, got up and hid the phoenix dagger behind Harry's back, letting the phoenix dagger continue to nourish Harry's soul, to see if this would make Harry wake up earlier. And he himself carefully walked out of his seat and stood in the aisle. Lin Sha looked at the situation outside the car, and from time to time there were deep-sea fish swimming past the window. The originally wonderful scene really confirmed her loneliness at this time. Lin Sha took a deep breath and forced himself to stop thinking wildly. Then fumbled around in the car. He wants the other party to discover his whereabouts, at least in this way, the other party will take the initiative to come in, after all, he can't get out. Not to mention that he couldn't open the door at all, even if he could, he wouldn't dare, but he didn't forget that they were now in the deep sea, he didn't have any protective measures, and the pressure of the deep sea was not something he could bear. After all, he is still immortal. I don't know if it was his illusion, he felt that the temperature in the car was getting lower and lower. There was no cold air in the car, it should be some reason he didn't know at all. The greatest fear of mankind is the fear of the unknown. Lin Sha is no exception, he can't explain this phenomenon, he can't understand, the situation where everyone is drunk and he wakes up alone is not beautiful at all. Because of the fear in his heart, or because the temperature in the air dropped, cold sweat flowed down his forehead. Lin Sha took a deep breath and panted, he was sure that there must be something in the car that he didn't know existed at this time, and before this thing appeared, he was already terrified. Lin Sha tried hard to adjust his heartbeat. Suddenly he thought he felt something, raised his head sharply, his eyes widened, the familiar fear returned to his body, this time, deeper than before. Flowers. He looked ahead, his heart couldn't stop trembling, he couldn't believe what he saw. I don't know what kind of monster it is. It seems that there are 100 pairs of eyes on the whole body. All the 100 pairs of eyes are pitch black, and they are cold and have no trace of emotion. They just look at him like that. Seeing Lin Sha is a bit of a phobia, but what makes Lin Sha even more frightened is that the monster's eyes are like looking at ants. Contempt, neglect, disgust. Lin Sha forcibly endured his fear, let himself look directly into those eyes, and forced himself to calm down. He tried hard to ignore the pair of eyes in front of him, and looked behind the eyes through those eyes. What kind of monster is this? Lin Sha couldn't help his heart tremble and said, those eyes were all over his body, that's why he looked so terrifying. How unlucky am I to be infected with these things? Lin Sha complained in desperation, how on earth did I provoke her to mess with her? 99. Since seeing the whole picture of this monster, Lin Sha has never acted rashly, for fear that he will accidentally disturb this big guy and attack him. Lin Sha is helpless now. He estimates that if he wants to completely defeat this monster, he must at least eliminate all these terrifying eyes. His clones can be divided into a dozen at most, even if one person has 2 hands, it is not enough. What? But it's obviously not a problem to be so stalemate. Facing this monster hovering above his head, he was very terrified. However, when he saw his prototype, he was actually not so afraid. After all, he now knew that what he was going to defeat was nothing but such a thing. Lin Sha moved forward quietly and took a step. He found that the monster didn't move, or he didn't see his movements in his eyes. Lin Sha couldn't help laughing at himself, he really looked down on him.